challenge. It's perfect execution to win what we call in the business a pivotal kill. The damage is done at this point. Legend immediately takes advantage of the timing gained by Renegade to get into TSM space.
All right, we're back on YouTube with a new title. State of Halo Esports Tashi interview, I guess, is what we got.
Then Legend wouldn't have the timing to push into the base of Optic. And it would probably be a neutral fight between Optic and TSM to gain match
YouTube,
control.
are we back? Yo, okay, welcome back. All right, you guys, we'll see how many of you stuck around.
The map again. Look at how easy it was for Legend to get this kill on Talik. Seriously, folks, if you take one lesson from this video, stop cross-mapping. It is horrible.
It's really dunking on these guys for shooting across the map. Like,
I hope to see players.
There's a time and place, but it's risky.
Renegade and Optic Gaming in the future. They make quick, decisive movements
miss opportunities.
Based off information given
take
on
damage
the map. When you
on your lane.
Onyx players what their
or you
biggest
die in your
challenge
lane, right?
is when playing against professionals.
I'm having a good evening. How you doing?
They'll say
What's up, Tonio? We back.
Pro players
it's gonna take a bit to rev up, I guess.
What seems possible. This is because pro players understand their timing. It's as if it was second nature to them. They don't need to think about whether they can.
Okay, let's close team stream, multi-view. Let's close some of this stuff.
Actions make them hard to play against. Start to recognize your own timings in your gameplay. Work on recognizing what space and damage is on the map in real time. Many of these plays that Renegade made throughout the game wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for the rest of Optic recognizing the timing that Renegade was giving them to move up on the map. That's why Optic Gaming is so good. It's not just because one player can go and get a triple kill. It's because every player on the team recognizes what that damage represents on the map, what space it gives them, and how they can take advantage of the other team. One last gift before I go. Guys, I want to show you the Renegade triple kill one last time. But this time I'm going to put all of TSM's point of views on it as well. Honestly, I don't know what you're supposed to do about Renegade when he's hitting shots like this.
Cross left. One shot truck. Absolute basement. Absolute basement. Absolute basement.
Basement dead. Absolute.
Mother flag.
I think S&D. I think it looks cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if Search and Destroy or like single life game modes can work in Halo, but I'm open to trying it, you know? Shall cross to the death, just wasting his anchor's time. Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, they got punished for cross mapping or whatever, and then, I mean, Optic capitalized perfectly with their, you know, the way they moved on the map to like create the spawns they wanted and set things up for Renegade with a sniper to just like pop, pop, pop. Like duck hunt. To duck hunt him. See, now this music we don't get the copyright because I got the monster. I'm literally paying monthly for Monster Cat because I know LVT's all over that Monster Cat license. So we can have this music. We're good for YouTube. Oh, we lost our whole YouTube audience though, huh? I thought that might be like a strategy where I could like hit the button and go live again and then keep the audience somehow, but it probably threw them off of the, you know what I mean? Like, all right, well, we learned our lesson. Maybe we don't change it next time. We just keep you guys in here. Fighting for his life? In which chat? Oh, you mean in LVT's chat? Oh, let's see what LVT's chat's saying. Damn, 31 months is kind of balling, bro. I don't think I'm sub 31 months like anywhere else. It threw you off? You had to go back into my channel and refresh a couple times? That sucks, bro. Okay. In the future, I'm just going to leave you guys and we'll just whatever, you know? It's not worth it. Yeah, he's in the chat. I was like, what? The constant freezing on my Edge browser is... I got no other tabs open, so I mean... I figured out a cheat code? Wait, what? Long left? Eh. Watch your music. This is not. So this is Monster Cat on LVT. So we're okay. I have a Monster Cat license. We're good. Only because you love me. You guys came back. All right, all good. So I had when my PC got hacked, it got hacked through Google Chrome, and that was the main browser that I would use. After I got hacked through Google Chrome, like it kind of, you know, freaked me out, obviously, and I haven't used Chrome since. So I've been using Edge. Like normally I don't use Edge at all, you know. Yeah, it's a good strat, even though it still seems to be having some issues. Brave? There's so many browsers. Vivaldi? Firefox is, yeah, probably good. This music's kind of vibey if I could, like, listen to it properly. Oh, I got hacked by a fake sponsor opportunity. Somebody reached out to me with a Steel Series opportunity that was phony. It was a whole, ordeal at the end of last year. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, the price was like, I saw the price. I was like, easy. I'm going to be watching a lot of LVT. And every time I watch LVT, I get the copyright strike. $7.50 a month. That's like a Twitch subscription. You know, we're good. Oh, no, it sucks. But honestly, it was a blessing, you know? Because I got my channel back, and we low-key went viral to make it happen, right? I made a post on... Did you guys see it? You probably... I mean, if you were around in December, 8 million hits, bro.
This is the way.
Magnifies. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome.
This is the way.
Stop freezing. I'm vibing with this. Moist Nugget with the SSG love. And the Shyway love.
Just good Halo right there.
You can do both.
Just damn good Halo.
My God, 10 months. Let's go. Welcome back, Moist Nugget. How we doing, brother? We are currently at 664 at us. Dude, we are losing subs as we're gaining them because we must be. I must have had like a good weekend a month ago, you know, a good Friday, and we're losing. This is like the day to have like a bunch of subs elapsed. The Dark Ages? No, that was this. That was a bright start to the year, you know? I got to start the year with my channel restored and with a little bit of momentum, you know? Like, what I was told, because when my channel was hacked, I thought maybe that was a message that I should, like, maybe I need to give up, you know? But the way that I got it back, like, told me the opposite. It told me I got to keep going. This is live. Yeah, we're waiting for the Tashi interview.
Feeling nothing. So where do we go? We feel so alone and we can't do a thing about it. I'm done faking it, I can't pretend.
Here you go. 8 million views, 77K. I'm just like, I mean, I'm just saying, I've never seen a tweet like that before in my life, bro. That's insane. That's what it took to get YouTube's attention.
You can see it in my face, though. You solve the mystery once again. Oh no, I know we had this conversation a bit ago. don't you know? I've been sitting at home watching the paint dry. Kinda wishing you come over and say hi. Yeah.
Is he playing Splitgate? Is he actually? I don't know, man. I see him in like matchmaking sometime. He's he's been grinding. You need diversity to push forward. Hey, exactly. You learn to love it, right? Everything is designed for you to be better. All the hardship. I understand, Jocko. It's definitely not easy, man. There's no sense of like security as a content creator, you know? Things are going well for a bit and then all of a sudden you're not getting the interaction, or you know what I mean? It's tricky. Just try to believe. Just like a field of dreams. If you build it, they will except less cheesy. I gotta step away. Will I upload this to YouTube? Oh, the Tashi thing? Well, it's live on YouTube, so everything, you know that, right, Karma? So everything on my YouTube is still, it stays as a live broadcast, right? Oh, this still has the same thumbnail though. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, so right? This is like a second location for videos at the moment. My live tab. Obviously, it's not as ideal as watching like a dedicated YouTube video, but yeah. If this is like a really engaging discussion and I feel like it's worth editing and uploading, then I might do that, but yeah. It is pretty sick, huh, Zero? And it more effective than the BR? In most situations, yeah. I would say. Long range, though, the BR is a better option. Like, cross-mapping is better with the BR, I'd say. Didn't know I got hacked? Hey, Blondie. I am excited. Are you excited? I mean, Optic in a good position coming into the Open. I'm pretty confident, right? It's just them and SR is what we want to see. Remember looking up a while back, I wasn't popping up. Yeah. So what happened was I got hacked and then I got converted into Ripple. And then I was taken down. My channel was taken down for a trademark claim because it was like a fake Ripple, pretending to be Ripple and stealing people's cryptocurrency, basically. So I lost like 1,000 subscribers in like a day because people thought that like it said Ripple was live on their phones. And they're like, what the fuck? I'm not subscribed to Ripple. So they unsubscribed. But that was my channel they were unsubscribing from. Cash Money Records taking over the 99 and 2000s. What? Yeah, I mean, I low-key did. I mean, for a couple weeks I wasn't doing anything, so it was nice. It was stressful, but once things got going and we were okay in the end. It was kind of a nice way for me to take a break, honestly, because it was during the holidays. Lessons learned. Ever again. No, I feel like I've heard of it, Sam. I've heard, I don't know the record label, but I've probably heard the music, obviously. Poorly balanced compared to its release? What do you mean, Jocko? The Bandit's in the best position that it's been in, but it is still, a little too strong. The BR got neutered? No, the BR used to be more challenge, or I don't know. BR's fine. It hasn't been like changed in any huge way. It became more challenging midway through the BR meta. They made an update to make hipfire less accurate. Okay, here we go.
Of the HCS, we're going to be interviewing Tashi about all things
unforgivable
experience right now. Obviously, there's some big news that launched today about a brand new game mode that's going to be coming to Halo.
Who would have thought?
To ranked, maybe to the HCS. We'll figure that out here today. But as a primer, before we get into this interview, I want to explain how this process is going to work. We're going to have three main sections. The first is going to be talking about Seek and Deploy Extraction, the newest game mode that's coming to Halo. Tashi will unveil what he knows now and what we can expect
I'm on
in
auto.
the future. After that, let's take a status look at what the ranked experience
I saw it. It
looks
was good,
like
Max.
in Halo, what the new maps, what the new game modes are like, and what we can expect in the future for the ranked experience. And finally, we'll end with the HCS season, all the questions that we have about the competition within Halo. Within these 3 sections, we'll take a quick interim break to make sure everyone gets well rested and ready for that next segment. With that being said, I'm very excited.
And at what point do we got to buckle our
to
seatbelts?
introduce what I consider the commissioner,
we go.
in my words. Tashi, welcome to the show.
You remind me
And,
of like
I'm
the
excited,
pilot on an
man.
airplane right there.
First of all, congratulations on the new launch of Seek and Deploy. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. And we haven't launched it yet, so your congratulations are appreciated, but
Seek
maybe
and
a little
deploy.
early. We still need to finish the mode, and hopefully players love it when they actually play it. But yeah, we're pumped.
Honestly,
Sorry
it's,
about the
it's
freezing, guys.
something that's completely new to Halo Infinite. I think a lot of players are excited to get their hands on it. Can you walk through what the process was on establishing this game mode once again? Well, I don't want to say once again, but the single life game mode. We saw it experimented a little bit in Halo 5, but definitely wasn't
Seeking unemployed, what?
Something that we've seen in Halo Infinite yet.
Yeah, I think it's always been like kicked around and talked about.
I
at the
hear it.
studio.
No, it's freezing.
I'm sure before I joined Halo and conversations that I'd not even been part of, it's just always been like, I wonder how this mode would work in Halo.
Tashi got the white hairs and the
And,
beard like me.
I think a couple of years ago, I just put together just some more thinking around it. And this is when we were starting to bring extraction to Halo Infinite. And it kind of just clicked on like, maybe this is built, off of extraction.
I'm going to have to use a
instead
different
of
browser tomorrow.
Assault, which should, is kind of the obvious choice, because if you look at whatever search and destroy, Counter-Strike, there's like a bomb object. But that was always,
Hey, Samantha, thank
we
you.
always felt like that
Biddies.
didn't quite work out because of Halo's time to kill and the shields. Like if you end up killing the bomb guy, then it's
Is this
just
somehow better
everyone
than like?
swarms the bomb location and
right.
it's kind of done. So there was just some initial thoughts of like, hey, maybe this could work with extraction. Then it just got put on the shelf for a while. And then, it was an opportunity for the ranked team to, dive in and start building out new content and whatnot. And so, yeah, we just brought this design back and been closely partnered with L-Town and Clutch on figuring out all the details and fleshing out the full design. And
There's definitely going to be
what
some
should
early
maps
bugs.
be like,
It's
how should they
expected,
play,
but
how are they different
as long as
from
it's
other
fixed.
games, how are they different from like Halo Arena maps, all the details of the mode and the economy system. And, from there, from a process standpoint, we got recommendations internally on which forgers
Maybe.
we should work with and consider and hire. And, we landed on Artifice and Micryps, and they've
Big
been
W.
absolutely incredible to work with.
They've
And,
hired forgers for this, which is so
yeah,
dope.
we've just been kind of jamming on it. So it's just been in like block out for a while. We just started putting art on
Forger's
maps.
been working
It's,
way
like,
too
very
hard for
early.
free. It's good to see the people
But
getting
it's been coming
opportunities,
together. I mean, the first play test, I distinctly remember us already starting to talk about the strategy of like how we were going to approach each
Right.
round, and
We're in
what
the good
weapons we were gonna
timeline,
consider
bro.
buying,
We've entered
and,
the
where we're going to push, and we were like
the
already
timeline
like
where things
playing
actually
the
work
mode
out,
and
and
not like
Anyway.
figuring out if it's going to be fun. Oh, what's broken about it? What's not broken? It's like, oh crap, we kind of have something here. So we've just been kind of iterating on it. And, we also at the same time were wanting to partner and been talking to Forge Hub for a little bit about how can we work together and do some contests together. And this just kind of lined up perfectly. So
welcome back, Brunch.
yeah, we announced it all today, and hopefully people are excited. It's going to be a little ways away from when folks go hands-on, but we're excited to show more over the coming months and eventually release it later this year.
Well, the partnership with Forge Hub is really exciting. Something that I think a lot of people weren't really expecting to see, like a big competition. $10,000.
Seek and destroy.
From
Get it
Halo
right.
Studios, and then $10,000 from Forge Hub for a $20,000 prize pool. Can you talk about the process of making this contest a reality and sort of why you decided to go down this contest route to get more maps for the playlist?
Yeah, we had done contests in the past, and they'd always been successful. So I was part of running like the Halo 5 API contest. Also, if you remember, like the Ghost in the Shell Forge contest in Halo 5. So we'd always done this, but we hadn't done it for Infinite yet. And Forge Hub has just done such a great job running these competitions and building like and fostering like a real community around not only forgers but people who like to play kind of forge content and help give feedback and things like that. So they had this like kind of already built-in community and well-oiled plan. And Warholic, who's running there, is I've known him for so long, like almost a decade now or more. So we just had some
Warholic's a
good
goat.
conversations, and they were super down and into it. And we were like, hey, we're gonna contribute the
10
pricing
grand
for this. We're gonna put in 10,000. And he's like, oh, we'll double it and make it 20,000. It's like, holy cow, dude.
I think it's Warholic.
Awesome, thank you.
Is that where the money, the Forge Hub money comes
big
from?
shout out to that whole team.
This guy puts down
and
$5
Warholic,
grand
like,
on like a monthly
they just
basis.
do and have done for
for
such a
Halo.
long time, like amazing stuff. with,
Jacob, thank you for the
Forge
follow,
Hub
brother. I
and,
appreciate you.
really around the Forge tool and
And then drops
community.
10K to
that's
double
kinda how it all came to be.
HCS's funding.
I mean,
for this
going
contest.
back, and looking at this contest so far, I think a lot of people are wondering what the expectations should be for those that win the competition. Is it going to be a 1-to-1, like first to fifth place gets their map into the game, or is there a little bit more nuance as to how the maps will be selected to be
Right, how many
into the
maps?
matchmaking system?
There's definitely more nuance. I would not expect, 1-to-1. Once a map is kind of selected, where we say, okay, we have the intention of like bringing this into matchmaking, it goes through a pretty rigorous like internal testing process with our QA team.
Hey, MJ.
And a lot of times there are bugs that are
There's a
found
new
that
mode
have
in the
to, like,
game.
change the way the map
Coming
is
to the
made,
game.
or even sometimes bugs that like
And then
can't quite be repaired. So
Tashi's
we
like the
didn't want to
esports
make any
lead.
promises, and we don't make any promises today that the winners are just gonna like get in. There's a lot of time and process. Like once a map is selected, there's gonna be more
Don't you
time
dare,
for fixing
XRP.
bugs and iterating and polish and things
That's
like
an
that.
insta ban.
And so yeah, we can't make any promises. Obviously, the intention is that when the S&D extraction playlist comes out, there's a bunch of maps and not just one. So that's the hope.
So they're making a playlist. Does that mean it's going to be an HCS game type though, right? And then do we need unique maps that work for S&D only, right? Like, is that kind of the tricky thing, right? Because the standard maps we have
the
probably
second
don't
place
work.
Map has some issues that couldn't get it. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
So we're not
But,
there
like,
yet. We're just trying to have,
It might
have a
make
great
it hard to
competition
implement
and,
S&D as a
build
genuine
excitement for the
mode if you need to have
we
like a
were
whole
looking at
suite
the
of new
map that was
maps.
featured in the trailer that's to come.
Good.
Couldn't help but notice that
That's
there's
tricky.
some very
Or how
interesting
you-
vibes, some
yeah.
Halo 3 vibes. It felt sort
You
of
can
like
watch
a
me
hit
watch them
remux to an
talk
extent.
about
Is the
what they're
competition
saying
like, is there
through
that sort
me.
of theming throughout the competition where they should be making it more like
Try not to talk
like
over
a
them, though.
remix
It's
of different
tough.
maps from Halo's past?
I know.
I'm glad you noticed that. Yeah, that was very intentional, and that is part of the rules for the competition. Is that
Economy?
it should be inspired by Halo 3 and those famous Halo 3 maps. You'll notice the map that we showed in the video is not a direct 1-to-1 remake of the pit. There are a lot of major differences, but it kind of has some similar vibes, similar color themes, kind of set within the
Trying to
same
take the
universe.
resource from
So, I would
Extraction
say
that was a failed game mode,
There's some
unfortunately.
kind of direction that we have in
Use
the
it
contest,
productively.
but we don't want to be overly prescriptive. If someone decides they want to, be inspired by Narrows, they should be very creative in thinking about how they can interpret kind of Narrows.
Interesting,
right?
bro.
Narrows has a lot of elements. It's not just like a bridge, a Forerunner bridge. Maybe your map has a bridge, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has the big waterfall, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's nighttime instead of daytime, or in the sunset. Like, forgers should be creative and think about how much they can explore in the universe of these Halo 3 maps, and not just try to remake them 1-to-1.
Well, I will say, whoever makes the Epitaph
I think
remake, let me know.
I think it's
wanna
like
play it
begun.
right away.
Are you an
and maybe in a
Epitaph
couple
fan?
months from now.
I love the artwork of Epitaph. I say,
Okay, it is
You have a
beautiful.
few months or something to get your maps together, and then
You've redeemed yourself.
The Epitaph artwork is awesome, and
It is.
I'm very excited to see what
Epitaph's
the
a cool
community
map
has
for sure.
Up, but I think a large part of the equation for a lot of people is getting an eye sort of look at how this is supposed to play, whether that might impact how those design elements go into the game. So when can players start to expect to play around with the game mode to get a better sense of what they're forging with?
Yeah, so the first opportunity is going to be for our pros who are in attendance at the Kson Invitational.
Oh, cool.
So we'll have some hands-on time with them there, but also there's going to be the show match. I think that's where we'll get a first big taste at both from a player's perspective at a high level, but also from a viewer's perspective, how people.
So what he's saying is the end of March, we're going to see at the Kson Invitational, they'll be trying the new mode, I guess, right? Last weekend of March.
And then we're talking about, but don't have any confirmed plans yet, to have it playable at, our majors. So we're thinking right now it'd be really cool if, at the Optic major, fans can go hands-on and play and give feedback and whatever it might be. So we're talking about it. Nothing confirmed just yet. But we definitely want it to be kind of out there for people to try and have those opportunities. Kind of similar to how we did like 1v1 Showdown last year. Like if you were at the SSG
Ghost Town
major,
looked good.
That's good to hear. And kind of be part of that process. So we want to have kind of similar elements there. And maybe, who knows?
I'm not
maybe
sure. I would check Twitter, Jocko. That's where you'd find this detail.
So maybe some of their maps can be played.
Or their Halo Waypoint article. They got an article, I think.
In the middle of the contest, I think. Things like that would be really cool. And
I'll check later.
I think forgers are always looking for people to play test their feedback and give feedback. So yeah, nothing really set in stone, open to ideas of where it could be playable and how. We have some ideas.
Speaking of the other playlists that we've seen, right? The 1v1 Showdown, that was also a playlist that had a workshop period within the matchmaking system.
Towards the end of Halo 5, it became a lot more community focused as well. What generally happens is
or should we expect
the developers get a little bit more closely connected to the community as the game loses its mass popularity.
I think for this, it'll be like fully playable in a ranked setting. The way the timing is kind of working out, what we don't want to do is put up a workshop shortly before the playlist actually launches and not be able to like act on any of the feedback. So I think
Tashi, no,
we might skip a workshop for this go around and just go straight to like the proper launch.
Love that. And I think a lot of players are excited to get their hands on it. Do you have sort of like a time of year that we should expect to be able to play this in matchmaking right now?
I don't right now. Nothing I can share today. We've just kind of said, later this year.
Who knows?
So nothing more to share today, but I'm sure in the coming months we'll share.
Not expecting any big deal announcements in the interview, but it should still be an interesting listen, is what I'm hoping, right?
On the map and playing on
big announcements unlikely.
Lots of opportunities throughout the major year, like you were saying. That being said, right, pros being on the game mode, I think there's a
come on, please. I gotta like defibrillate this thing, man. I can't.
Is whether this is going to be an HCS game type, right? We know it's coming to matchmaking. Should we expect it in HCS Pro play?
Right now, we haven't made a final decision. We are considering it. I'll say the mode wasn't built with the idea of going into HCS. We weren't like, okay, we need a new HCS mode. It was purely from like hey, what would be like a fun competitive mode to bring to Halo that hasn't been there before?
It's more just like an idea.
Obviously, we're building it to have a really high competitive bar, and we want it to be really well balanced and meet a lot of those same standards that apply for HCS. But we didn't build it with that intention. But that said, we think there's high potential for this mode, just for fans to love it and for players to love it. So we are considering it. I think right now, just to like think out loud and share super transparently, the only way it would go in is if it replaced with like Game 5 Slayer. I don't think we would put it into like
replace Game 5
replace
Slayer.
One of the objectives.
Interesting.
I'd say we as a team, but I think
that's actually kind of cool.
Personally, are really protective over the way a series is constructed in competitive Halo.
Yeah.
That was very intentional when HCS started.
Bro, it
that
keeps
over the old kind of MLG format of, objective Slayer, objective Slayer.
And you can't have too many objectives. Like if they add S&D, they got to take something else. You have to have assault leave.
Replacing like a Game 5 Slayer, which I think has been not entertaining, but Slayer's just like really important to.
I would rather
Halo.
Replace a Game 2 Slayer.
To be such an obvious like win.
I don't know. Yeah,
like in our eyes, and we don't know yet. So we only just announced it. People have to play it. We have to see how it, works as a spectator. But, I think it would be, if I could dream in an ideal scenario, it's like everyone loves it and it's like universal praise and people are like, yeah, replace Game 5 Slayer. And then we do it and it's like, oh, this is the best. So like things always don't plan
You'd
out
expect
or
Slayer
work
to
out
be
that
in
way. So
esports
we'll see.
in
We
some
are
capacity,
considering it.
right? It's an
But it's not
entertaining
like,
game mode for the
do or
viewers.
die for us. So,
But it's not the
we're
most competitive
like, if
game
it's just
mode
not
out of the
working, then
options,
it's
right?
just not working. We're happy with the current rotation.
I'm gonna hit a quick refresh. I don't think it's gonna change much, but like, this is annoying.
People always talk about the game 550-49 and like being able to replicate.
Yeah, you have to create that level of tension that you get from a Game 5 Slayer when it's close, right? Because that does kind of create like a really exciting build up and crescendo to the
that hypeness. I think that's
series.
one way, right? Round 11.
I think I have to keep it like this, bro. Because
let's get it going.
And we're seeing that in playtest.
I don't know. It doesn't even matter what I do.
Like the like excitement that this mode brings in other games, like we're feeling it in this, where you have those 1v1s or those 2v1s and players clutch up and everyone on the comms is quiet and then your teammate like gets the clutch and they go, yeah, like we're seeing that in the in our play test and
Oh, are they streaming on YouTube?
Obviously still a long way to go, but it kind of has a lot of those same feelings and emotions and moments that you see in other titles, and why the mode is like so popular and why we decided to kind of
they're not live on YouTube.
Yeah,
interesting.
Could you speak a little bit about the playtesting period of this game mode and some of the iterations that it's kind of gone through and what you've seen has been a positive of it, and like how it's kind of changed from its inception to where it is now, and like potentially how it could change into the future?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we have the competitive insights team who are not only helping design, but also play test and give feedback. And we've been in close contact, obviously, with them. Like we're essentially like one team. Like if you combine both of those teams, we're like the ranked team. And then, of course, we work super closely with the forgers who are kind of building this out for us. So, yeah, the flow is kind of like, when the mode first got stood up, and the kind of first block out of the map, we just played it, and it wasn't like fully ready. The economy system wasn't fully working, and there wasn't also like side switching at the very beginning, so you had to load up, and like if you were on offense, you played offense the whole match, and then they switched teams, and then you played defense. And it wasn't until later that more of this functionality came online.
Exactly.
But we were able to pretty early on kind of play test things, and there were definitely certain assumptions that we made going into it that through playtest were kind of changed, right? We had, a ton of stuff in the economy that you could buy, and we had initial price for things. And I mean, we've changed it dozens of times now. We've kind of removed things from the economy that were just,
if it's a 2v1 with even weapons, then it's like impossible, right? But if they have a sniper, it all depends on how the economy works. Basically, that kind of evens the odds, I guess.
Instead of buying multiple things, and it just like hurt the overall flow. So we made changes to the economy as we've gone. We've also just worked closely with Micrips on the map design, who's been just doing such an outstanding job. He totally gets not only like how to work in Forge, but also competitive Halo maps, as well as like tactical shooter maps. So he's done a really good job of just understanding, from the jump, like what these maps need to play like. And
so
the
unique with Halo though, because you're G-sliding around
how
and
you
stuff.
need to enter and exit like a arm site. So he's just done a really great job, working with us on that. So, we've made some changes on how the map plays, and how long it takes to get to a certain site. Certain routes have opened up. We've added certain jumps, how they work with equipment or whatnot. So, I mean, competitive insights teams playing like almost every day.
I'm yawning now,
and they're just
it's 8:30.
Playing the heck out of this mode. And we've even
there's not enough dopamine in this broadcast.
Semi-public play test where, I was just like fiending to play. I think it was over the holiday break, and I reached out to some pros in the community that I knew could, keep a, mum's the word on it.
Keep a secret.
I'm not gonna
in the pro scene?
keep a secret.
Oh wow.
And I know, and no, they haven't done it. They haven't said it, and I'm not going to say who they are. But it's got some good initial kind of positive response from them in the early days. So.
So a pro tried it and said good things. Is that what they're saying?
On the economy, polishing bugs on the mode, and we still have some time to go, but feeling confident in the kind of final product that we'll get to.
I gotta say, Tashi, with how
It's a cool
roster
initiative.
went this
It's
season,
nice to look
how
forward to
an
something,
open-
you know.
how much of an open secret every roster was. I
And,
feel like that was a
and
daring,
I wonder if it gives us
a daring endeavor
optimistic
trusting these
look
pros.
outlook for next year.
I don't think
Esports.
anyone
It was just a couple of
Keone,
them.
thank you for the YouTube.
And,
follow.
keep them locked and
you know,
key.
I've been working
We
with-
gotta keep them private for sure.
I've been working with these pros for a long time now, 11 years. So I have a good sense of
Wow.
like who I could trust and who's maybe got
Who's
loose
kinda
lips.
shady.
So I picked very carefully.
I love it. And I mean, you've had your own experience playtesting it. Was there like ever a moment where you were playtesting it where
There's
it
definitely
sort of
Monster
was
that
like
tried
an
it,
unlock
yeah.
for you,
Miquin would be great for
where
something
you're like,
like
oh,
that.
this game mode
'Cause he's
is
already
legit.
worked
This
with,
is gonna be coming.
343.
Like, this is really, really fun. Like any
That was
specific
literally the
moment?
first
It could be
playtest.
Miquin.
Really?
Somebody like
Okay, can you
Miquin.
go on
Yeah,
a
it
little
was
bit more into
literally-
that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier, but usually when you're playtesting like prototype modes internally, like especially ones where you're not 100% sure how it's going to work out, or it's just in such an
Oh, it was
early
good,
state
Waldo.
that there's a lot of things that like don't
Good
quite
stuff,
work yet. You kind of have to put on what we call like your dev goggles, where it's like, hey, you're gonna have to like, look past some of these ugly parts of the experience in this early stage. And it was like right away we just started talking about the economy and like, okay, I'm going to save this round, I'm going to buy the sniper next round, or okay, let's 3 people push A and one of us go distract to B. Like we just immediately started
I think it might be its own
playing the
separate
game
thing,
instead of,
Lucas.
like,
And then
fighting
depending on
with the
how
game's
it's
mechanics
received,
and, like,
it
trying
could
to
end
find
up
the fun.
in
And
esports
for me,
and
that was
arena.
like such
You
an
know what I mean?
eye-opening moment of like, okay, we're still really far away, but like this experience has been like, at least initially, like proven out. Like, does this mode work in Halo? Like the bets that we were taking about keeping the same shields and the time to kill, keeping the same movement, how the map was built, like we made bets and we just didn't know if it was going to work. And then we played, it was like, okay, it's going to work. There's a clear line of sight to this even getting better.
Interesting.
So it was literally the first playtest that I had played where I was like, okay, like we will get there. There's a lot of work to do and it's not finished yet, but it will get there.
They see the vision.
I mean, I don't know how closely you get to keep up with the competitive insights team or anything like that. But has there ever been
We
like a
should be
moment where
hype
it's
and
getting
invested
kind
in
of
this
like,
game until the
like
moment the
heated
new one
or,
releases.
like tournament sort of level
That's how it should
sort
be.
of thing where people
Build
like,
up, build
is there,
up,
is there
build
like
up.
a rumor
New
throughout
one
the
comes
office where
out.
like, oh yeah,
That is
they're
just
talking
good
about
Halo right
Frosty.
there. That is just damn good Halo.
My God.
Uh,
Barbosa, thank you for the gifted
these
Frosty.
guys are
Welcome to
very
the
competitive,
Whales. Go big
obviously.
place. Thank you, Barbosa.
So there's always that rivalry that they have with each other. I will
I'm getting
take
sleepy.
a moment to give a shout out to L Town. He sent me a clip of
Big
this
ups to L-Town.
nasty 1v3 that he got in in one of the matches. And initially it was a 1v2 and then someone bought back and he killed him too. And I think he got the disarm and it was insane. And we actually like presented it to the studio as part of
You
a
were a fan
larger
of
video
Breakout.
like,
Interesting.
here's this crazy play that L Town got. So shout out to L Town.
I also heard that L-Town is responsible for the skill
really
jumps,
nasty play.
at least on Recharge. I'm not sure about every map, but the reason why we got the new skill jumps, he's on the competitive insight team, right?
That buyback feature, right? It's something that
Helped,
is that something you normally see in like a
I guess,
tack shooter
design that.
situation. Can you talk about like why?
Oh, with another sub.
That is just good Halo right there. That is just damn good Halo.
My God. Maybe.
Yeah. So we knew coming in, and
I'm gonna.
I've
We have a
seen
long
lot
day
of
ahead of us tomorrow.
conversation in the
I want to be
community
up.
about this too
and early,
around
you know?
like with Halo's time to kill and how the shields work. You're just not going to be able
Halo
to
9?
1v2, 1v3,
I don't know, bro.
and that was taken into consideration from the start.
Hey, Bros, no
And
problem.
I
Thank you
don't
for
think
hanging out.
suddenly
Man.
like we're going to have the same 1v2, 1v3 type fights that you'll see.
Qualifier.
in, like Counter Strike,
open qualifier
but we
tomorrow.
started like thinking about different ways that we could mitigate this, and we made a decision pretty early on that we're like, hey, we're going to keep the shields and time to kill and whatnot. Like if you're a Halo Infinite player and you love Halo Infinite, like we want you to feel at home playing this mode. We don't
I
want
like
you to
that
feel like
idea.
you're playing a different game inside of Halo, like sure, it's a different mode, but the game itself, the way the guns work and the shields and your movement, like that's the same.
Waldo,
So
I
that
think
was
it's gonna
like
be
a
its
really
own
important
thing.
kind of stake in the ground we put from the outset, which means we had to change the mode in certain ways to make sure that it could, accommodate for what we felt like were going to be these problems. So there's a few different ways that we kind of tackled it. We didn't think there was like a one, silver bullet
no.
that's just going to suddenly make it all work, but we decided to approach it from a bunch of different angles. So one is you start with a bandit. So there's not a situation where you don't have like a really strong utility weapon with you. We had considered like hey, do we do like Magnum starts or something like that? But the Magnum in Halo Infinite's like pretty powerful. So early
Yeah.
feedback, because we had talked about it, from Clutch and Elton, the guys that were like, the Magnum is not like it's not like the Magnum in Counter-Strike or something
Yeah,
like
in
that.
close
So it
quarters
doesn't
is
fit that
arguably
same
better.
kind of role.
Yeah.
So we decided, okay, Bandit Star is the right play. So everyone, regardless of someone on the other team has better weapons or there's outnumbered, like you at least have a chance to fight and make outplay opponents and things like that. The other one was building it on extraction instead of assault, because we just foreseen that, like, this happens again. I'll just use Counter-Strike example since it's like the originator. If someone dies with a bomb, obviously, the counter-terrorist side is going to watch the bomb just to make sure it's covered, but terrorists still have a chance to, one tap and, pick up the bomb and get it back. But we knew if that situation happened in Halo, it's very, very difficult, almost impossible to try to, let's say 3v4, pick up a bomb, and now you're holding it and you can't shoot. So it's really like 2v4, bring it to an arm site. Like, that just wouldn't work. And so building it off extracting helped a ton, because
You don't have to hold anything.
You don't have a bomb to carry. You don't have to like have one person who's designated to arming it or not.
But how do you stealth defuse or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, you can't. It's like an open space. You can't just like hide behind the bomb stack.
And then this is where the buyback came in as well. So we thought, in a scenario where whatever, you have a cheap death, or maybe there's a team kill or whatever, if you've got enough money,
like 20 minutes,
you can kind of buy back into the round and turn a 1v2 into a 2v2. And, maybe someone on their team dies and one of them buy back and it's a 2v2 again. And we thought it was just like a really kind of interesting potential way. And, shamelessly stolen from Dota 2. I'm a huge Dota fan, and the buyback mechanic is like a really prominent part
1 minute,
of that
yeah.
game. And there's a huge risk reward. And it was kind of a bet that we took. We honestly weren't sure if it was going to like work or play well or anything, and it kind of just like fits pretty naturally. The spirit of it is not that you're buying back every round, but it's like an important part of the economy, and you can decide if you want to buy back in certain situations. So we fully expect there to be like really clutch buyback moments where, again, like a 1v1 turns into a 2v2 and then you suddenly win the round or whatever it might be. But we fully expect players to just like buy back, die instantly, and they're like, crap, I just wasted a ton of money and now I can't
That can
full buy
happen,
for
yeah.
the next round. And it's like, those are kind of stories that I've never really.
So he's saying you can buy back into the game, for the record, Nick. I don't know. Look, man, I understand the reservations about this mode. This has never worked in Halo before, one life game types. It could suck. I don't know. I'm just hoping that it's fun, and I'm optimistic that, like, it's good that they're making something new. That, you know what I mean? There's work being done, even though it's Forge. And that could potentially come to HCS later in the year, because it gives me, the impression that they're still investing in HCS in some way, right?
Like a completely new feature from a, like
For the foreseeable
actual
future
standpoint. But this is like Halo that's starting to.
It's about what
morph
it represents.
into a new game.
It's not about the mode
that's
itself.
gonna
I mean,
morph
I don't
into
know.
Attack shooter. What are some of the things that are in the game that like are harken back? Obviously, we've seen the economy system, but like one big thing, right? If you're playing CS2 or like Valorant, is like buying an op, dropping it on the ground for your teammate. Is that like a?
It's an S&D type game mode.
Are
Yeah,
those
yeah.
like features that we can expect, like some of those classic features that we've seen from attack shooters, come to seek and destroy S&D extraction.
That too, Giddy.
Or
seek and deploy.
Damn, I said it wrong. Tashi,
Which
I
props
promised
to
myself
Unity.
I
He's so
wasn't gonna
upset.
do that.
Yeah, that's why you choked it there.
I know, right? Thinking about it too hard.
You overthought it.
And shout out to Unishek. It was his idea for the because we were like, damn, I really want to call it S&D extraction, but we can't have it be search and destroy. And he was like seek and deploy. And I was like, oh, that's
So
brilliant.
lame, bro.
I love it.
That's definitely a
Yeah,
Unishek
it's really
joke
good.
right there.
So so I
Like
guess
the dad
more
humor.
specifically on your question, if you
Actually,
so
seek
you'll
and deploy
start with
makes
your
sense,
bandit.
though. Yeah,
Let's
that
say
actually
you
makes
buy
sense.
A secondary gun.
You're not destroying,
You
you're deploying.
can, when you spawn, drop it as you normally do, or when you have control of your Spartan again after the buy phase, you can drop it as you normally do. But also, if let's say
It's about sending a
you
message.
have
Bro,
two
I'm
guns
sorry,
and you
Chad.
buy
Like
a
this
third.
has been really. What he's about to say something meaningful.
The map that we're working on is like a 3-lane
Brother.
map. There's an A site, there's a B site, there's mid, there's problems that those maps solve in terms of design. So the
Like if this happens tomorrow,
they're
we're
not
shocked.
exactly
Like
the
it can't
same.
happen
Some
tomorrow.
of the sight lines are shorter versus longer.
I can't even do 720p. 480p Tashi.
We have the skewer right now in the economy, and that acts almost like an op where he's one shot kill.
Can't do 480p Tashi.
There's a lot of interesting factors, but also again, it's Halo Infinite, and you've got your G sliding, and you've got grapple up to get up to certain perches, and we're taking all of that into account when building the map. So it plays like Halo Infinite. Building the map, you're obviously playing kind of a new mode, so it doesn't play like you're playing Counter-Strike or.
This is Google Chrome. Let's just Chrome. I got Chrome. We'll do that.
If you never played Halo Infinite, the way the shields work, the way the guns work, the movement is all going to be kind of different to you. So it's meant to be, hey, I really like Halo Infinite. I like the way it feels. I like the way I move around as a Spartan. But now this is like a totally new mode that I get to play in.
Add portals, yeah.
So far, I'm very excited for it. I'm really hoping I can get my hands on it when I go to one of these majors this year and start playing it. Is there anything that we haven't talked about?
The base game becomes too specialized to really be competitive. What do you mean?
Next segment.
They're not modifying the base game.
The thing I'll say is about the length of the contest. I've seen some folks commenting on it being really short, at like 2.5 months.
It's good so far. We're on Chrome down. It's good so far.
Than what we were told was like the
I might just stick with
this.
I think I'm just afraid of Chrome.
The thing that I'll say is like after the contest is over, we'll have some kind of final polish and iteration time. So to those looking to compete, like get it as far as you can. We're not expecting them to be 100% perfect. Obviously, you're competing against other people, so you will be judged against other people and their content and their maps. But there will be time to kind of polish and iterate things for those that are considered for matchmaking.
I'm hoping we see a new crop of forgers come in and give their hands.
I haven't had a lot of time to even jump in, Mateo, because all the Halo stuff.
If you think you can,
the game's fun.
Do it, right? Like, get yourself involved. The other thing I would say is collaborate, right? With those Forge things. It's like I think collaborations are so key for Forge. So if you're thinking about potentially making your own map, make sure you check to see who else is interested. That main prize can be split many ways.
Tashi, the Halo Esports lead, is being interviewed right now about the new S&D game mode and just the state of HCS for the year, basically. So we're just going to find out if there's, I don't know, don't expect any big announcements, but there might be little tidbits of information or like a hint at whether or not we're going to keep going next year with HCS. You know what I mean?
Even if you don't win, there's some prizing that you could take away. And then they also have this like community vote, which is really cool, which I think is like $1,500. So they have this whole voting system on Forge Hub. I encourage everyone in the chat to go sign up to Forge Hub and be part of that community and support them. Like, it's really cool kind of how they built out this whole portal for the forgers and all these contests and whatnot. So they're doing an awesome job, and the contest should be really cool to see how it all comes together.
And I'm gonna put this out here right now. If you put an LVT Easter egg in the map somewhere, we'll get you a free shirt. We'll do something for you.
Okay,
I just want to see. I want to see a little LVT somewhere on those maps. You know what I say? Let's get it cooking, guys. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the
free labor. They're paying.
I
mean, yes. Okay, so
new maps.
There's a contest with 20K.
That's all been coming into play
for people who want to build the maps. It's better than nothing, And then there's also they hired 2 forgers, which is really cool. That's like honestly unprecedented. Out of it's taken a long time to get here, but it's nice that they've actually hired some forgers to help with the design of the mode, and then for the maps themselves, there's a 20K contest. Yeah, the SSG FaZe scrim wrapped earlier. I'm not sure what the final score was. I'd actually be curious to know because it was close. I think FaZe might have actually won the scrim. Is this too... We need something that's like vibey, not like too hype. I don't know. I'll stick with it. always felt crappy that almost all content has come from Fortress and they don't get. Yeah, I know it's unfortunate. They start changing headshot combo. Thank you for the follow. They start changing things too much in a certain game mode. Players are just practicing to get good at the dynamics of that game. The basics are gun skills and team map. Right, but so something that they've explained is that they're not going to be changing the base movement, the shields, all that stuff is going to be the same. The only difference is there's like an economy system at play, but the core gameplay is the same with this mode. So if you're worried about having to like relearn the game or whatever it is that you're concerned about, I don't think that concern is valid for this. They're not changing so much that it's like gonna change the game from a base level. SSG isn't even gonna place top 3, are they? Well, that's hey, come on. You should be given more energy to SSG if your image on YouTube is an SSG logo. Come on, bro. Manifest it. Believe. They need your energy. Halo Date Hive? What? Halo Data Hive. They should make a Halo Date Hive. He's a phony SSG fan. 5-5? It ended at 5-5? You can't do us like that. So going into the weekend, SSG and FaZe had a tied scrim. FaZe with a shot at top 3 this weekend. I mean, they had a shot before these guys scrimmed, but it's interesting to note. Actually, Snakebite with the most kills on SSG today. Penguin with the most kills in the lobby today, though, at 217. 63 accuracy at a Penguin. Snakebite with the most kills with the lowest accuracy stat. Still dealing damage. Must be firing a lot of shots. Yeah, more than anybody in the lobby. Really close scrim, man. Really close scrim. Eco's slays are very low comparatively. He had the most assists, but only just slightly, right? His slays in comparison to the rest of the people in the scrim is like one. He has his second most deaths, lowest damage. Bit of a slow start for Eco, at least in the scrim, right? Definitely looking like a little bit of a weaker performance out of him on the SSG side. Still trying to find his footing for sure. Like, I feel like Eco's going to have to change more than just about any player. Because he was surrounded by such fast, like, high slaying, damage performing type players. And he was able to, like, work around that as a leader effectively. But now it's a little bit different. Like, his role's got to change.
Been a big couple months for you guys. A lot of new things coming to the ranked experience in Halo.
No problem,
First of
Jocko.
all, I mean, the new maps, right? We have
You're heading
Origin
out? All right,
and
man.
Fortress
Thank you
that
for the
have been
kind
added.
words. Have a good rest of your
How has
evening.
that been from your guys' perspective, the launch of those, and how's the feedback been?
Honestly, great. I mean, I think
I hear you, Bologna.
we're just glad to kind of finally get him to matchmaking. We had shown them a bit early. I think last summer they were playable at like the London event, and it took a bit of time to finalize them and get them in.
Penguin's
and
been doing
working
good.
with those forgers has been just really great. But yeah, it's been great to get kind of new community forge maps. And
I know, Cody. I'm
obviously,
not sure why.
Origin's a remake of Coliseum, but it's a beloved map. For me personally, it's my favorite Halo 5 map. And that seems to be playing really well. And same with Fortress. So Fortress being an original design for Micrips, and I think we just removed it for Slayer. We're just not getting great feedback on that.
They did.
And but for CTF and Assault seems to be playing pretty well. So yeah, we're overall happy and glad to be getting more maps into the playlist and to HCS as well.
I mean,
We'll
you
see,
mentioned
Max.
it, right?
We'll
Assault
see.
being added as well, a map that played on Fortress. We have 2 that are in the range playlist with both Aquarius
Look at the sweet.
and Fortress. What I find so interesting about them is they play so
I'm covering
radically
Aqua
different.
Live Fire.
But so far with this neutral bomb being added to the playlist, like what's the
Free
feedback
Argo.
been for you guys, and can we expect like potentially any changes
Now that
coming
we're locked
into,
in, we're not going to see any
these
changes
game
for the first
modes
major.
and game types?
What about maps?
Going into this short future?
Yeah, so on Assault, I think so far
I think
so
they're still
good.
working
We
on
had
it,
a
shit.
couple bugs early on, but the team was able to rapidly fix a bunch of those. I think
so,
3
Barbosa,
weeks
yeah.
straight we fixed like a bug here, a bug there. So overall, feeling really good about kind of the state that it's in and on the maps that it's on. So the season is just about to start. So I'm sure we're going to get more feedback, because now we're about to see it played at the very highest level with, stakes on the line. So, we're not expected to be, oh, it's perfect and everything's, all peachy and, players are going to love it 100% and no feedback to respond to. I'm sure we'll have some feedback. I'm sure the team will be thinking about, okay, on assault, we need to, move maybe the bomb spot here, or we need to adjust this spawn, or, this weapon needs to be moved here for this reason. So this is kind of just the natural evolution of how all this works. So we've kind of just put it out. It's still fresh. Players are going to compete. There's going to be feedback. We'll respond to that feedback, and, we'll go take it step by step from there.
I think feedback is always such an interesting part of the like HCS experience. How do you guys go about getting feedback for these new maps that are coming in? Obviously, like we saw that happen with Extraction when it was first added, and we saw that eventually not see its debut in the HCS.
Feedback was worse
Assault,
for Extraction
how are you guys
in comparison
going
to
about
Assault, that's
procuring
for
the
sure.
feedback, especially from the pro players and like the high level matchmaking players, about how it's been playing and where it could potentially fit into the HCS and ranked experience?
Yeah, so I think first we start with the competitive insights team internally. They're a group of former pro players
They
who
haven't
play
said
the
anything.
game at a super high level.
How about that?
Obviously, they're not out there winning the world championship and whatnot, but it's a huge advantage for the studio that we can play all of these pieces
Welcome,
of
by the way,
content at
Fresh.
highest
I agree.
level,
It's got more potential.
before they
straightforward.
even ship. So
It works.
that is a big advantage. And then folks on CIT, but as well as Richie, are always talking.
It's
to
tough in
pros
ranked
and watching
matchmaking for sure.
themselves,
We're
or listening in
uncoordinated
on streams, and just kind of taking in information from all different kind of avenues to see what the issues are and how we address the feedback. And then if there seem to be common themes, then they'll get on the phone with guys or exchange DMs to learn more about the problem and try to understand the specific issues and feedback more. And then from there, we'll kind of see what solutions we might be able to approach the problem with. So if it's something simple like, okay, this weapon is just overpowered because this one scenario, that's kind of an easy fix. But things like spawns are really tricky to try to hone in on. If you add a spawn here, it impacts maybe another game type there. So that requires kind of more testing.
Can anybody translate that for me?
It depends on the feedback and whatnot, but generally we're kind of out there with our eyes and our ears, seeing what people are saying, and then Richie, I think, and
it's playable well, though.
Do a good job of just getting on the phone with pros
annoying,
or exchanging DMs, and just
people don't know how to
about
play it,
issues.
especially in the lower level
We've
ranks.
seen
I'm sure
in the past, like after some HCS tournaments on Faceit, where there's been like forms sent out through Faceit to players. Is that something we should expect for this first month before the first major LAN, about getting feedback from the entire community about these maps and game types?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll have enough time to make really impactful changes before the first LAN, just with the time.
He's talking about Tashi, yeah.
But it's definitely something I'll say we should do. So that's one I could take to the team and see what we can draw up for a form, and maybe we get changes in before the first major, maybe not. But I still think you're right. Good call to get some extra feedback that way.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite things. Is like
what's up,
one of those ones. I'm like, I gotta play the
how you doing?
I gotta give my little feedback back. So
there you go.
Appreciate if that actually happens. I'd super love it. The one thing that I've been really excited about for Halo is like the addition of so many new things.
I need big announcements
of a Halo game, which is having competitive Halo in year 4 is kind of an unprecedented
announcements aren't large enough
area. Going through that, I mean, can you talk a little bit about like what the health
conversation is not titillating
experience is
not titillating enough
going into year 4, and sort of how you guys are balancing that compared to how it's been in previous years?
Yeah, I think for us, we don't take this for granted. We every year want to continue and keep running HCS and providing tournaments for the community.
Every year, confirmed. 2026 HCS.
It's, a big business decision for the studio. Running HCS is certainly not cheap. So it's just been, I think, a testament to the kind of overall health of ranked and HCS that we can keep going for year 4. And it's, as you said, it's unprecedented. You know, there's not been another game that has had 4 consecutive years of, you know, major competition, especially we're looking at, you know, $1 Million World Championship. Like, you know, it's a really big deal we get to continue past
Is the popularity there?
And so, yeah, I mean, I can't really go into specific numbers or things like that.
Of course not.
But I think with this last update, we definitely saw, you know, a lot of players jump back in and play, and
give them a chance to impact. Give them a chance.
People just playing longer, playing more in overall rank.
It'd be nice to see another year.
Arena. So response has been positive, but again, it's not something we take for granted. The team works hard at this every single day, and we just have to keep pushing. And you know, that's why you're seeing things like, you know, S&D extraction, and that's why you're. I mean,
it'd be nice to have a new Halo game,
map contest,
obviously,
and things like that. Like, we're pushing to, you know, keep
players
tournaments interested in Halo Infinite.
Yeah, in the build up to the next one.
You know, so far this year, I feel like we're off to a good start. It's a good, you know, content update that we released, and people are really excited about the HCS season. And you know, competition kicks off tomorrow, but it's still early in the season. Overall positive response about S&D extraction. So, you know, we're hoping to keep the momentum going and see where it takes us.
Yeah, and going into year 4, the ranked experience, honestly, it's been pretty cool to see how often things have changed, right? I think a lot of the new features that you guys have put in have been well
Paradox,
received. Like,
thank you for the kind words,
7,
brother.
-7 after you get
YouTube's been great, man. Streaming on YouTube is something that I should have done a long time ago. I'm glad I'm here.
1700. Yeah, 1700. The 4-stack cap being lifted up to that same number as well.
Tomorrow is the qualifier for the first major tournament. So Saturday, Sunday, we're going to be watching the pro teams compete online.
Raising the 4 cap ceiling again.
Tomorrow and Sunday.
Lowering where that +7, -7 starts. Do you guys foresee any changes, and how have you been monitoring that?
They're not registered for the tourney this weekend.
It's settled at a pretty good spot.
Hopefully that changes.
You know, we definitely heard some anecdotal feedback about the 14 cap being maybe a little too low.
It's an open,
and then we were
qualifier?
honestly, like, when we launched the +7, -7, like, we launched it as an experiment because we were
Optic
worried
not going to
about
register
CSR
for
inflation and how that
Optic's not playing tomorrow.
Cause, like, a really weird perception in matchmaking. Like, we were worried about players who were like 1800 matching with players who were like 2900, and they just like couldn't grok. Like, why am I matching with players?
Yeah, they don't have
CSR?
to. But
so we were pretty worried about that, but I think mostly players understand the system and the way it works. And you know, I think if you're up in that,
so King is saying that Formal said they are playing in it,
not having to go like
Viltrumite said Formal said Optic isn't playing
for loss.
Viltrumite.
I mean, I'm not at that level, but it must feel pretty good, and that's what players are telling us. It feels good to like, hey, I won more than I lost.
He's streaming
tonight,
his POV
so
tomorrow.
my CSR is a net positive. So I think overall it's a good thing, and we're not seeing as much kind of inflation as we thought. So yeah, right now we think
you're wrong.
Just to bring it back home, we think it's
what's the matter with you?
Pretty good spot. We're
trolling. What the hell?
Feedback,
that sounded way too.
Data in the game
you can't tell me Formal said they're not playing in it.
How that CSR inflation is going, but also just the number of players who are matching solo duo versus, you know, team of 3 and team of 4.
Still cute.
And the vast majority of players search solo duo in our game. So we think overall things are in a pretty good spot, and there doesn't seem to be any data or feedback that suggests, you know, we got it really wrong or that we need to urgently change something.
Ooh. On the state of ranked, right?
What's the
4 stacking,
behind not potentially expanding that +7 -7 cap to all of matchmaking, right? I think a lot of people
because it's not the way.
I
don't think
like they want to have that same experience of like, I won more today than I lost. Like, I went up, and like, what's the thought inside the studio as to why why you guys?
A lot of people have inflated ranks just for playing the game that aren't at the skill level.
Is that if you have deterministic +7 -7 or whatever the number is for all players, then your CSR starts to become less of a accurate reflection of your actual skill.
Yes,
and
more a reflection of your playtime.
We worry that players will start to kind of drift from what their actual skill is, and that will impact the perception of matchmaking overall, where you're on a team with players you think you're better than because your CSIs are or higher, or vice versa, and things like that. And generally speaking, from a competitive standpoint, it makes your rank more accurate. and
It's true.
I think that's ultimately a good thing. Ranks should be accurate to where your skill actually is and how you perform versus what your
That's not necessarily true,
what
Covert.
level you're
It
expected
depends on
to
what we need feedback
perform
for.
at. So I think it overall just makes things a bit more kind of accurate. I will admit that there's some like head scratching that happens in the game because it doesn't give you good feedback as to like, well, why did I only go +4? Or hey, I did better than my teammate and he went up +8, but I only went up +7.
Yeah, it's
So there's
definitely
a
got
lot
issues.
of like confusion, and I think if we had better messaging in the game as to like how it all worked and why you went up the amount that you went up, then I
We're
think
sorry, you're ass, bro.
there might be
You might have played
kind of
well,
more
but you're actually
favoritism
kind of
towards
terrible.
the system and how it works. But that's kind of our general approach as a studio is, we want CSR to be, as accurate as it could be compared to what your underlying skill is or your MMR.
Right, and that's
Well, that
I think a lot
mindset
of
will definitely
people
keep you that way, Pats. I don't know.
start to like that +7, -7 because it's like a known quantity. Right?
I get what you're saying, though.
I think so often when you're playing Halo, it's like you have an okay game, but you lose 12 CSR, even though it's like, well, I went +5 and I lost 12 CSR for this win. What do you see as like an opportunity for maybe some more clarity for those that are experiencing like these CSR fluctuations and kind of better understanding how the rank system works? Like, is there a
Pretty much,
resource
Nova.
out there for
You just
players
gotta
to
get
kind of
good.
understand what directly impacts their plus minus?
It's called youtube.com/Shyway. Is what it's called.
I think we've released some kind of matchmaking blogs over the years, maybe early on in Infinite. There also was originally, I think when we launched, a feature that basically showed you if you underperformed or overperformed on your kills and deaths. And ultimately that was removed early on, just because I don't think players fully realized that like they had expectations going into the match for what their kills and deaths were supposed to be. And obviously no one likes to see that they underperformed. So if it's not like, generally, if it's not like explained to you properly or thoroughly, it's like not a good feeling. And we're amongst the esports community, so we are hardcore as hell. So I think for probably most of the people watching, and I know for myself, like regardless of if that thing tells me I played like crap or not, like I'm just gonna queue again.
Yeah.
Because I'm like hard-headed and I want to win, and like
Okay.
I love this game and whatnot, but for a lot of players that stuff can be either
Turns them off.
daunting or will turn them off and
Yeah.
things like that. So yeah, I think that's probably why that at
You
least
got
that
this,
part
Sam.
of it was
Later, brother.
removed originally.
Well, I think that's actually some great insight because it is funny to be like,
Go ahead
yeah,
and
I
try
went
it
+10.
and
It's
see,
like,
because
well,
you
the
probably
game
will
was,
eventually
you're
end up
supposed
at your
to
same
go
rank.
+15.
T-Pads.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah.
It's like,
If you're actually better
funny little thing
and
to
you're
think about,
consistently
but,
better, you'll
moving
see
forward
progress,
into,
right? It might be
some
slow
of the
at first,
additions
but
that
you'll
you
see the
guys have added.
progress if you're
Assault
actually
been,
better.
I think a very fun playlist so far. But
That's
I saw
the only
a lot
thing
of
that-
questions from
just
the
worry about making the
community
right plays.
asking
Don't worry
what
about the number.
process was for testing maps. Only 2 maps for it, and there was actually a lot of talk
Hey,
about
Stevie.
why
Thank you, man.
Bazaar wasn't added as a map
For 20
itself.
years.
I think I had even
Hey,
like
I
more
appreciate you,
explicit
man.
feedback
That's-
from people like Tiberius Oddly.
Can relate
like
to
an
being a
analyst in the
longtime
scene.
Halo fan. Let's go.
That was like screaming like this map was made for Assault.
Bizarre.
Why is
Yeah,
it
let's
not
hear what
in
he says.
the,
Let's hear what he
in
says.
the playlist.
Well, I can tell you, Bazaar was not made for Assault. I can tell you factually,
It was made for what?
that it was not made
CTF.
for that. But yeah, that aside, yeah, I think generally the team feels like Bazaar needs a lot more work than we're just able to do right now on the map.
Like what?
I think if the guys could kind of wave a magic wand, they would probably move out some walls and open up some more paths and change a bunch of spawns here. They're like probably overhaul the map in a significant way.
Mm.
So, I don't have insights into all of the conversations that the guys had about the maps, but I know they played Assault on a wide swath of maps and ultimately felt like, Aquarius and Fortress were the best suitors.
Interesting.
And for this year, right, we've had 2 new maps and a game mode that's been added, and we're potentially getting S&D.
Yeah, that makes sense,
throughout
Shivers.
this year as well.
It's easier to
Is
get,
there-
but eventually
are we-
over time,
should we be
the more you
expecting
play,
more, right?
the more
new
your
maps,
rank is
more
going to be
forge
aligned
creations
with
in
your
particular to come into the
main
rank experience this year?
Yeah, I think last year we were really focused on getting
If
kind
you're
of
not
CTF
improving.
maps kind of in the rotation. And I think we've done that now. We've got Fortress in there, and we've got
Oh my God.
we've got Fortress and Origin. Excuse me.
Breathtaking.
It comes up on the screen. I didn't want to look.
Trippy,
I was like, I know
Rippy,
you know this.
Rippy raid. Thank you,
So
Trippy.
I think
Hope you're doing
now,
good, Joey.
You know, based on all the
Appreciate you, brother.
feedback, we're looking at.
We're just
kind of
chilling,
ASIM
watching
maps,
Tashi, guys.
Specifically ones.
Hi,
that
just
really
bored. What's
support
up?
Ball. Well, that seems to be the loud and clear message that we have heard.
If you're already
and
bored,
message received.
you might stay
So
bored.
The guys have been looking at.
This interview is
it's
okay.
Pros have been talking
Impact
about
with 3
on the
months.
That is just good Halo right there. That is just
damn good Halo.
Oh my God.
Can they get any louder? I don't think so. Thank you, brother.
People tweet
Impact,
us pretty
welcome.
regularly, like, "Hey, look at this map," and I'll just go tag Richie and
Thank
you
you,
know,
board.
they'll go play test things. So.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're actively on the hunt for competitive ASIM maps that could make their way into HCS,
Cool.
ideally.
Guillotine or
But
something.
Again, it's like it's a long process. You know, we play test the heck out of these.
Why they
and a
came
lot of
out with
times
it?
they'll need
I think
some
it was
kind of
just something that they were
iteration,
experiencing. I don't know. It's not designed to
even
be an
then, we
HCS
have to make
specifically,
sure
though.
that they
Apparently,
are ready to go into matchmaking. And,
maybe
you know,
blank.
it
I
has
don't
to
know.
be performant on. You know, all consoles. We're seeing feedback from, you know, say midship and even
Hope you had
a
a good
little
stream,
bit from
Joey.
Origin about if you play on an Xbox One, the frame rate is not quite there. So it's like there's a lot of kind of hoops to jump through and bars to meet, so to speak, to make sure these maps are kind of ready for prime time. And yeah, it just requires a lot of due diligence to kind of get them up to that level, and it takes time. It just, you know, you can't again wave a magic wand and put the map in matchmaking. It just unfortunately doesn't work that way. So, but yeah, the guys I can confirm have been out there kind of scouring the earth for these ASIM community maps. And, you know, once we find one that we feel like is a good
You hear
fit,
that, Timmy?
we're gonna
If you're in the
do our
chat,
best to get it in as soon as we can.
build an ASIM.
I'd love to see like a system where these maps that you guys are working on could
He's
be
got somebody he's cooking.
like showcased earlier, but not necessarily added earlier. Like I'd love an opportunity for like a weekend where I can go and play these new maps that are potentially going to be in rotation, but know that it's like it's this for this weekend. Like we're testing it, we're getting feedback.
It's a good idea. They've done stuff like that, but yeah, they
concern
should
comes
do
from a lot
more.
of players is like it kind of feels like
I
a
know, right,
void
Cheesy?
until you hear the information that it is being added, rather than
The
just,
Halo
oh, we're
pla-
working
the-
towards this. I
was
mean,
it
is there
Zeta?
any plans to sort of
Scouring
address
the
that
ring.
feedback into this year?
I mean, as far as like standing up a playlist, it kind of has to be.
They're
that
playing in
way.
the open series, Prem.
It's not a
Optic.
kind of fast and easy process for us to just like take a bunch of community maps, throw them in a playlist, have it go live for a weekend, and then gather feedback and make decisions from there. Like, we have all these like,
Nothing's
requirements
easy.
that we need to meet.
It's never
There's
easy.
a lot of people that work on this game, and we're not in a position to just like take a swath of maps that we're not sure how they're going to work out, or we don't know if they're going to be, you know, performant, or if they're game breaking bugs and things like that. Like, it's a huge investment to just like get a
It's
single
true. I
map
mean, even with the
into
stuff that they're ready
matchmaking in a
for, we still get
playlist.
bugs.
And so when we do
Game-breaking
that, we have
bugs.
to be like very confident that this is the map that's going to be worth all of that time and effort. So it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way it works. So what that means is we have to do a lot of our own internal kind of play testing. And then it's like, okay, we know this is the one that we want to take to matchmaking or whatever. And then it kind of like initiates that process of, you know, meeting those bars for quality in terms of, again, performance, bugs, things like that. And then there's back and forth with the forger, or the internal team gets into Forge and, you know, adjust things themselves. And, you know, again, it takes time, and it's a kind of an arduous process. So we have to be, if a map goes into matchmaking, it's because we are like confident that this is the right map. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, we have seen in the past where there have been
That's a good question,
additions
Nova.
into the playlist. I like
At
quickly get
least
taken out,
5.
right? So I think
Mhm.
a lot of people
Ballpark.
were talking about that Truth remake.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, I was one of the few players that was like, I was in LA, didn't have my Xbox or my PC, and then I came back home and like, let's play, and it was gone, and I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
what happened? So can you like kind of go into the process of what happened to that midship remake,
Hey!
and whether we can expect to see it back in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It wasn't the process that got us to that point.
It
wasn't
lasted
good
like a
enough
week.
to
It's crazy.
catch all the issues. So, yeah, I think right now the team has been working on trying to fix that map. I think it seems like some of the Covenant pieces are just not as performant as others, and we don't have, you know, as a ranked team, all the tools to address all of that. So the team is, you know, trying to
we
approach
got the wrong
problem
team
from
on the
different
call.
angles and see how we can fix it. But yeah, that was one that unfortunately probably should not have gone live without
That's a
even
shame.
further testing. So, you know, these things happen. We try to meet deadlines and want to deliver a certain experience.
Is it the lighting, or are you talking about the shape of the
you know, sometimes
midship
things are
pieces,
missed,
right?
or you know, things just slip through the cracks.
Just
that way.
forgot to
So,
test it. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think it was like there was probably like
I love that we are adding
a pressure to add the map because of the Halo 2 anniversary is what I think happened. You know, like they kind of overlooked it and just hoped that it would be okay, and then you know,
again. You talked about
I agree.
level of detail
making
models.
Oddball,
Okay.
right, and having new maps for Oddball
From a distance.
one of the
see.
other
Too many
requests I've seen
polygons,
a
and
lot
then-
is
yeah,
Strongholds.
look out
Right,
center
right
map.
now in the HCS rotation, there's only 2 maps for Strongholds.
Yes.
I think people are probably a little bit thinking of it as getting a little bit stale. Although we have seen additions, they haven't quite played the way that we've expected.
I don't know if pros would
Should
want
we
streaks
expect
back,
any
but
new Strongholds map as well as some Oddball maps coming into this year?
Yeah, I think what we always try to go for is, you know, on a symmetrical map, it can work across multiple modes, and same goes for an ASIM map. So I think if
an
the map
ASIM
we
that
found
works
was
for ball should work for
exclusively,
strongholds.
only good for Oddball, then
I can't take it anymore.
that would be not as effective as we could be. So if there's a map that works great for Oddball and Strongholds and maybe King and Hill, then to me that's a bigger win, you know.
You have no idea how complex
I
these
think
games
that's
are.
a super
Criticism is fair.
And
Games are massively
I see
complex to
all
the
in
point you don't
chat,
understand.
so
I
I'll
agree,
bring
I
it
agree with
up
that, Mark.
because
Well, that's why
chat's
I
been
reserve
spamming
my
it.
judgment because I don't
I don't have the chat
understand.
open,
so
so-
I'm not gonna
Yeah, what is
like
the
the
I'm
spam?
not
map
gonna sit
easy.
here
They really
like I
wanna
know
see
what's
it
up
if
and
you're
like
familiar with
criticize
the
them. You know what I
Forge
mean?
tournament.
Obviously,
I
I'm
don't know,
being
is it- can
you know,
give us any sneak
I'm
peek?
teasing a
Like,
little bit, but
have
for the
you
most
guys
part, I
been testing
respect and like
guillotine
understand
in the
that this
back
is a
so
difficult
far?
process, and you know, I
Yeah,
can't do anything about
Guillotine
it.
was all over my Twitter feed.
It's a
and I know
shame, you know,
Renegade
but,
was like streaming on it, and I popped in his stream. It was like in January.
A lot more
so
variables at play when you actually work
the
there.
guys have been play testing it. I don't have an update on kind of what their assessment was at this point or where it's at in the process. But Guillotine is absolutely on our radar, and I know the guys have played it.
Cool.
I keep seeing it in the chat, so I figure, hey, I better ask for chat. We have seen a lot of sandbox changes coming into this year as well, right? It was almost every weapon that was basically GA'd.
I don't know if midship's going to change it any. Like the way that the
you guys talk
forge
about
objects
what
and all
the
that stuff.
process
Yeah, like it
was,
sounds like too much of an overhaul.
touching the
They'd have to
sandbox this
change
time
the objects on the map.
and where you guys have landed and what your guys' thoughts are right now with where it is currently at.
Yeah, so last year I think in terms of sandbox, the big priority was just getting the bandit to a good spot. You know, it was kind of its premiere in HCS. And it's the
This
first
year
time
it's
that
about
we
no
had ever
GAs.
changed a starting gun, you know, within a title. So, you know, we adjusted
Has to do with the
rate
slip
of fire,
space
and
engine,
that
Nova.
had a knock-on impact on, you know, other weapons, which I think is why the pros kind of GA'd, you know, those guns. And yeah, from there we were just kind of observing, you know, gathering feedback, just listening what people were talking about with them, and you know, the team started working on, you know, addressing these weapons. And the line that we try to walk was, hey, let's kind of nudge them in the right direction. So, you know, ideally pros will give them another shot and they don't have to GA or feel like they have to GA them anymore. But we didn't want to just like nerf them into oblivion for the rest of the community, right? The
Tier 3
the
weapon
other
pad for the
99%
heat
of
wave would have
players
been the
who were
best
like,
play.
what do you mean? The Bulldog's great. So it's a hard line to walk. I think
Or the
this
closest
has
that we
always
get.
been like, this has been like a problem that Halo's had
Forever.
since the beginning.
Yeah.
And you know, and lots of games have this problem is your pros can do things with certain items that
Nobody else
you know
can.
no one else can.
Yeah.
And so they're able to abuse them. And the problem that you try to solve is like how do you address them for the pros and keep them still in a good place for the rest of the community. So I think that's what the team went after, and I think it was a valiant effort. And I think you know, overall,
We
it feels
tried
like the
and we
sandbox
failed.
is in a better place. It is
It
more
is in a better
balanced.
place, but still.
And at the same time, we made some kind of layout changes. But the general idea was, hey, let's kind of nudge these weapons in the right direction. Let's, you know, address some of the feedback about the, you know, jiggle peeking and things like that, and the grenade spam, which I think has all
Right,
been
Mark.
positively received so far.
Unreal Engine, I'm
And,
hoping saves that a little.
Yeah, at the same time, let's not kind of ruin these weapons for the rest of the community who's just been like, you know, enjoying them in Social Slayer or whatever kind of playlist. So that was the overall kind of direction.
I know.
And we wanted to line it up with, just before the start of the HCS season, just so, okay, now going into the new year, there's kind of something fresh, and we've refined the sandbox, and it's kind of ready to go for the new season.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, I'd love to go into a more specific example and get what your thoughts are, and maybe how it may impact your thinking about the sandbox going into the future. Right? Is the Mangler, right? We had it in year one, super overpowered. The pros almost immediately GA'd it, and then we saw the tweaks happen.
It doesn't
The
even get
tweaks
picked
never
up.
really resulted in the Mangler
It's still useful
not
though.
getting
It should get
off
picked
that
up.
GA list. And then eventually the decision was made to take the Mangler out of competitive entirely, boost it back to where it was season one, which I think a lot of the casual scene really enjoyed. And like, I love using the Mangler. I just don't love using it in 4v4 ranked. I feel like that same argument could happen for lots of the weapons that we're seeing currently getting touched, like the Heatwave, for example. The Heatwave, I believe, is currently GA'd even after its current update change. Is that sort of a direction that we could maybe see in the future, where instead of trying to make the Heatwave work in professional play, we take it out and then boost it back to its original state, where the casual community can feel a little bit more in tuned and have a weapon that feels like a power weapon once again?
Yeah,
the pro
Tools
play
is
sort
good
of
at
not
the
touched in
interviews.
same
He's
way.
actually very good at these
Is that
interviews.
something that you guys are kind of looking at into the future?
But what do they replace it with? Are we going to replace
We
it?
did talk about it. I think generally our internal postmortem about the Mangler situation was that we handled it poorly. The Mangler was, and I think still is, like a really fun gun to use. Just like getting a 3-shot with that thing or single shot meleeing is just like really fun. So I think overall,
You get it to feel like Halo. Probably many of these shaders.
great
that get
addition. And I
the
think
Halo look.
early on in
Okay.
HCS was like
But the
damn
Havoc
exciting to
like
watch.
engine or whatever.
The
I think
drop
you
shot
can
meta
move
got
over.
stale pretty
The
quick.
physics engine.
But just seeing players in those first few months use the Mangler was
Appreciate that, French.
exciting, and I think it added to the overall game. The issue was that, again, it got overpowered, and we took way too long to address it. And then when we finally did, it was the wrong solution. And then we were at this kind of point where we thought that in order to bring it back after it had been GA'd for so long, that we would have to
Are you a Halo dev,
completely
Mark?
change the identity of the gun. And that just didn't seem
'Cause
like
that's cool.
the right solution based on where we're at, all the other things that we were
I
working
didn't know you were
on,
an Infinite dev.
the kind of perceived value of the Mangler and what it would do to the pro scene or not do versus how it would impact the rest of the player base and things like that.
It's fortunate that the changes to like the subtle changes to the Havoc engine have been helping us on the skill jump side of the game. Like it could be destroying the movement, but for whatever reason, we're getting lucky and like
back,
more
we don't
jumps
think,
are being like
okay, yeah, we
randomly
handled it the right
introduced,
way.
you
We
know,
think, actually,
on top of the new
we
ones.
botched that one. And so for these other weapons that are now GA'd, it's not just one with the Mangler, there are multiple. And generally speaking, like we think it's a
Yeah, I think
negative
some
thing
of
for
it's
the whole
probably
game and
planned and
community
written out,
if we
and some
just
of it he's
continue to strip
adapting on the
items
fly.
out of the sandbox.
Not a
I
Halo
think
dev.
it creates a bigger rift between your pro scene and the rest of the players. I'm not even talking about like social, but ranked players as well.
Okay, gotcha.
And generally, I think that's just unhealthy. And then you start to get like different feedback.
About to
from
interview you
the
next, Mark.
pros compared to everyone
outta here.
else. Not only because of their skill, but because their sandbox is totally different. And I think that rift just continues to grow over time. And so it was talked about, and I'd given the direction that, hey, we're not going to remove these guns from the maps, even if the pros continue to GA them or
We
not,
don't wanna.
because the vast majority of players are, we feel, still enjoying them, and they're
Tashi
not
takes a
as
firm stance. I
negatively
respect it.
disrupting, or the players don't feel like they're as negatively disrupting to their play as the pros do. And we've just kind of like, for these guns, like made peace with that for now. So again,
Sure.
we gave it a shot.
For
to kind of
ranked, I
nudge it
think
in
it's
the
all
right
fine. The way
direction.
the balancing is for
We'll see
ranked
if
is
things
fine.
change in the future. Again, we're just starting the season, so we're going to take it kind of step by step. But that was transparently at least my whole thought process on the thing.
I think it's a super smart way to think about it, right? It's like the ranked experience is for more than just the professional player, and I do think there is some credence to that. Like they want to play with the Heatwave too. Like we should let them if they feel that that's a big feedback point for them. That being said, we have seen a lot of changes in year 3. One of the big ones was the starting weapon change, right? We saw the Bandit Evo come in.
It's interesting.
And it's staying. Year 4, it's
Tools is most confident navigating interviews. He's most articulate navigating interviews, more so than his commentating. Not to call him out. I'm just saying whatever. I don't know what the reasoning is, but he's more in his state of flow in the interviews, I find, than he is when he's casting.
Easy to use, that the magnetism is a little too strong.
His pacing is better. His articulation's better. And he's
just
more natural in this environment.
And what was the decision as to staying with the Bandit this year instead of potentially going back?
I don't know what the reasoning is.
Yeah, we were really happy with the Bandit last year. Again, it was kind of a bet that we took.
A million times harder.
Moving away from the battle rifle, which we internally have called it. It's almost like the lightsaber for a Jedi. It's like the weapon. The battle rifle is just this coveted thing. So
you could prepare.
It was a risk,
ways,
but
I get what you're saying.
We knew there was a lot of players who
more like it evolves as it goes. Right.
We're looking for a single shotgun, but also we're just huge Halo 5 fans.
I used to cast. Yeah, I've casted with tools before.
Thrust sliding around with that pistol on Halo 5 was pretty magical, and so we just thought about, how could we kind of push the game forward, do something interesting in a way that's going to get players to want to come back and try it. If you're still playing the game, give you something fresh to learn and kind of reset your mastery in a sense. And the Bandit was already a gun that was kind of being made, so it was just like aligning the stars, and we were like, okay, let's go for it. And we had actually made the decision to build the Bandit Evo before the Bandit even came out, and the hope was that, which actually turned out to be true, that players would be like, holy crap, the Bandit is awesome. I could totally see how it could be a starting gun if it just had XYZ changes. And we were already working on those XYZ changes. And then the Bandit Evo came out, and everyone's like, okay, yes, this is the
Did
gun.
he ask for a BR Evo?
We worked to refine it, get it to a good place during year 3.
He might have a journalism background, maximally.
I think right now, in terms of where to set your expectations, I think we hear the feedback, but we just made a lot of changes to the game in the last month, and the season hasn't even really started yet. So we're going to keep an eye on things, and if we feel like a change we need to make to the Bandit in whatever direction, then we'll make that change. But right now we don't have anything like that. We're kind of play testing, so to speak. So.
So deal with it, Lucid.
I'm a big fan of the band. I think I told you first frame. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted.
Magnetism not changing. It's still OP.
From pro players in particular, saying that
Fortress
really
Bomb,
love the Bandit Evo
we'll see.
and how you guys changed the weapon to make it a little bit more appropriate for pro play and competitive play, and that they want to see the same thing happen to the battle rifle in the sandbox. Because where it currently sits is it's a very strong weapon at that long range. In fact, like a little bit too strong in a lot of people's minds compared to the Bandit. Is there plans for like these sort of evolution weapons to come out that are more suited for competitive play, featuring like something like the battle rifle?
Hey.
No, I mean, I think the Bandit and Bandit Evo was kind of a one-off, I guess you could call it. Yeah, I think the BR being super powerful long range is intentional, right? It's like,
so he just shot. I guess he just shot it down then, right? He literally just said
BR so that you can then shoot all the way across.
It's a one-off.
And
so there's no plans.
If all the guns kind of fit the same role on the sandbox, but also have the same DPS and all the same ranges, like I think then it's a little less interesting to.
But that's not specifically what we're asking for. He's more about a competitive variant of the weapon. It can still have its place, but like
long range.
I guess for the BR specifically, they want something that could be more of a power weapon substitute. Or sorry, a starting weapon substitute.
I say right now we're not planning like a BR Evo.
Camp and not move across the map is so boring. Yeah, I mean, I prefer the Bandit.
Hey, reduce the range. I don't know that
I can understand the argument for the BR as a skillful.
If you look at the Bandit and the Bandit Evo
alternative,
I mean, it literally has a scope
with the jiggle peeking and whatnot.
Tuning. So, if we feel like the BR just needs a shorter range, then we'll just shorten the range and not create like an Evo variant of it. But yeah, that's at least where my head's at right now on that.
I think that's somewhat respectable. One thing, while I have you here, this is my opportunity to throw my Hail Mary.
This is a community interview.
Thrust starts. He's going to say thrust starts. Watch.
I have.
He's going to say thrust starts. He's going to say it.
I think the Bandit Evo has been really fun. I think a lot of people still want that battle rifle experience as that starting weapon every once in a while.
Oh, he's going to say
any discussion
some
about
maps with BR, some
potentially
maps with bandit. Okay,
making it so that we have dual starting weapons in the HCS. Whereas if you play on one map that is a shorter range map, you have a battle rifle at your hands with bandit evos on pickup. And if you're on a long range map, you have a bandit evo as your starting weapon with battle rifles on the map. Right. And switching between the two depending on map and game type.
I think you brought this up to me once.
a while back.
I've been
now it's familiar
on the hilltop screaming. I want to play with both. You know, I'm a greedy man. I want to play with both the battle rifle and the bandit in my ranked experience.
I'll say we haven't talked about that. I don't know that it'd be as simple as like, okay, these are the maps that should be bandit start. These are the maps that should be BR start.
Yeah, that'd be
like,
a tricky
is, like,
conversation.
fully tailored around bandit starts. And I don't know that we could, unless we made the bandit extremely similar to
Grant,
the BR or vice versa.
Sorry, you've been here.
I don't know
that
that
I
we could accomplish that in a like good enough way, because we'd have to change, we'd have to change probably the weapons on the maps for each. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of overlap, but there'd probably be some guns that just don't work as well when you're fighting against a BR versus a bandit. So it's an interesting idea. I'll give you credit for that. But I'll say it's not something that we're actively exploring.
Start with both, you're saying?
Shoot your shot. That's all I'm saying. Shoot your shot.
No problem with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. That being
Ask
said,
him on a
Commando
date. Come
starts
on.
When? Year 5.
Romance.
Let's get it going. No, I mean, for me, that's all the questions I really had prepped for the ranked experience. But is there anything that we
So you did prep those
that
questions?
you think is sort of important for us to take a quick detour before we move on into the HCS?
That makes sense.
No, last thing I'll say is really about ranked and I think S&D extraction. I saw some what I would call like allergic responses to S&D extraction, like not in my Halo and this is not the game and should not go into ranked arena.
Yeah, people immediately turning it down.
Again, for us, like this is not meant to replace Slayer or CTF or King of the Hill or any of these kind of like
nobody talked about MK
modes. We're just trying to add something new that's
new
never
flavor.
been added, and
just a new flavor.
Get a bunch of people interested in playing the game and loving some new.
I think it's going to be a separate playlist or something.
Consider it like an ed edition. Don't
if people really
it
like it, it goes
replacing something that you love.
Yeah,
because that's definitely
just
not our intention and not why it exists. So we'll have a ranked playlist for S&D extraction, and hopefully it has a lot of great community forge maps, and hopefully players love it just on its own.
He said if it was good and really well liked, then maybe that could be a trajectory for it. That's the only world where he sees it in the HCS rotation is if it ends up replacing a game 5 because it's like a fan favorite
program. HCS grassroots, all these questions that you guys have on your mind will be answered, but we're gonna take a quick break. Give us
he teased us.
We'll be right back, and anything that you wanted to know about the HCS
grassroots. Some of those old farts want to remove sprinting? Yeah, I don't know. No date. There'll be a contest over the next couple months, right? So I assume, like, I don't know, give it to, like, between May and the summer is what I'm assuming, but I really don't know. Apparently at the upcoming FaZe Invitational tournament, there might be some sort of a test build or something available that the pros can try, but no confirmation on whether or not that'll be at the LAN majors. Four months out is the fastest timeline. Amount with the follow. Thank you. Welcome. They can't keep up. Yeah, but nobody's complaining about. So there are people, like even competitive-minded players, who are like kind of not really sure about the S&D thing, right? Like reacting to it negatively. I think the criticism is like, if you're going to have a new mode, does that mean that you're shifting focus away from other modes that still need work? The game is broken. You know what I mean? The network, etc. Like there are some things that the pros want to, or the community wants to see fixed that are like good, like important, but also probably, for the ranked team that is working on this, like Tashi and team or whatever, they can't do anything about a lot of those other issues, like it's not within their capacity. As unfortunate as it is that we have that stuff, but I don't think this is like evidence that like people are focusing on the wrong things that people are concerned about, if that makes sense. And if this doesn't work out and people don't like it, then it's not that it's going to replace anything either, right? planning on signing up to any FFAs at the lands? I'm not sure. I have to go to the lands. If I go to like DreamHack, I don't. It's never really like a focus for me. I'm more so there for the experience and for like I'd like to stream at a LAN. That'd be a reason to go if I could have like a booth, you know. Old oddball and King of the Hill, yeah. Why isn't Tashi himself coming to my house, fixing my internet issues? A ping, yeah, exactly. Need this man to optimize my router. I don't know what's going on. Move the servers. I don't know. I'm trying to look at this optimistically and say that, like, oh, that's cool. They're trying to add things to Halo in 2025. You think Impact? I could do it. I could win. I don't know. I just kind of want to like vibe out and get good at the game, and then we'll see where that takes me. Like, I've been pretty focused on just watch partying right now, but we do have to get back on Halo. What'd you miss? Just a conversation with Tashi. I still haven't had dinner, guys. I think I'm gonna go get dinner after this. We're entering the last third. I assume this is the final segment, the finale of the Tashi interview. It's been okay. You know, it's a good interview, but obviously it's a little bit there's not a lot going. You know what I mean? Like, it's no big announcements would be expected. There's not. It's just the two guys just sitting there chatting it up. You know. If you're looking for like ADHD levels of dopamine stimulation, you're not going to get that here, unfortunately, but you can hang out with me. What's for dinner? Good question. Probably just more chicken, rotisserie chicken, jasmine rice, any veggies I've got in my fridge. And maybe I'll have some Greek yogurt after that. I'm pretty hungry. Get the whole yogurt jam, a little bit of cereal, you know, granola. I'm trying to do this thing where I actually like enjoy training legs. I've been hating. I keep skipping legs. You know, I can't be skipping legs, right? So I'm trying to like have a mindset shift where I love it. I'm trying to tell myself I love it, and changing the workouts that I do. So I'm not gonna like try to go for heavy squats and leg press, and like instead I did like on the Smith machine I did Bulgarian split squats, like focused workouts with like less weight, and I'm kind of enjoying it more. I don't know. We'll see.
Welcome back, and we're to our final segment.
Yeah, I gotta embrace it. I got a good foundation on the legs side, you know, that I'm not embracing it. I gotta fall in love with you know what I mean? Yeah, anyway, every day's leg day. Yeah, but I'm sitting so much, like it's just not good.
Year 4 of a competitive Halo, something we'd never seen before in any of the Halos. It's always been sort of a 3-year cycle. In Halo 5, we saw a 3-year cycle.
Let's go. I did too, right? Let's go.
Period where there wasn't any sort of LAN events in the main Halo game. I think we went to MCC for a little bit. But year 4, no changes this year as to what the standard HCS practice will be. And to me, that screams the question of
a little bit. When I go to the gym, I stretch every morning, I guess, but
really
like I should stretch more in between.
Where
and, like,
is
my
the
streams.
HCS sort of ecosystem fitting within Halo right now?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, I think the fact that we have a year 4 and even a year 3 and a year 2, and
be happy with
what
you
take
got.
this for granted, but
for sure, yeah.
I think the fact that we're still going and we have a year 4 is just a testament to
Thank you, Valiant.
how
Welcome.
The studio perceives the health of the league, the impact that it has on the franchise, the impact that it has on the game, how the game's performing. So, the studio has resoundingly decided to invest in HCS year 4, and we need to go out there and kick butt as much as we try to do every single year, and hopefully the community kind of supports in a big way too. But yeah, I think again, the fact that we're here is a testament to how everything has been performing and how the studio perceives the impact of HCS being the value of HCS.
I want to focus in on something that you said right there, right? Go kick butt for this
My
year
hamstrings.
on specific
Oh yeah,
goals,
or
right? It's like,
yeah. Also,
to me that sort of asks the question of like, what are
what's the area
short-term
in
goals
I think it's my
going
hips.
into this year for
Not
the
good for sitting.
HCS, and what's that roadmap look for like this year? Like, what are the goals you're trying to hit? But also 5 years down the road, what are the longer term goals for the HCS?
Yeah,
exactly,
I think for
Mark.
us, we
Exactly.
think of generally
For
esports
testosterone
or
building,
HCS
yes.
as the loyalty program,
and I'll get
for
stronger
the game
everywhere.
and the franchise. And the people that
I'm excited.
love
Trying to wake up and be
Halo
excited for leg day.
Halo and play ranked or
Twice a week.
whatever
Let's do
it is,
twice a
even
week.
if you don't play ranked but you watch HCS, you know, these are our biggest fans and our biggest cheerleaders, and
I can try to take a look at it, Oliver.
You know,
I don't really know the full
Make
details.
sure that we're taking care of these fans and we're keeping them in our community. And so at a very high level, that's how the studio thinks about HCS and the value of it. More granularly, what the team is going after is viewership. So we look at live concurrency. For us, it's a big measure of just kind of all overall health and interest in the scene, and it's kind of a mark of relevancy for us, right? If we're kind of in the mix with some of the other bigger shooters on the market, then it's a good overall sign of health and relevancy for the franchise,
Interesting.
the game, and for the ecosystem in the league as well. And then, of course, there are bills to pay, and not only for us, for our partner teams. So the league does sell sponsors. Our team sells sponsors
in the mix,
skins in the game that hopefully fans love.
Yeah, I don't know. The majors do okay
so
viewership wise, but definitely not
we're,
like,
of course, pushing for
mainstream.
There's also attendance, right? How many people are attending our events? How many people are competing online? How many people are competing in the open bracket? Things like that. Those are other kind of measures of success. And then generally, what's the overall sentiment, right? So do fans love HCS? Do they love coming to the events? Are they having a great time? Do they feel like the quality of the product is where it needs to be? They feel like they're part of the community and have inroads into the community. And, you know, all of those things are really important measures for us too. So when I say the team needs to go kick butt, you know, that's how we're going to measure if we're kicking butt. And, you know, long term, I think what we've kind of learned with Infinite is, I think largely the goals that we set out to accomplish were the right ones because of the impact that we were able to drive for the franchise and to the game. And, you know, again, the fact that we're kind of still here. So it shows that, you know, we had our goals and our North Star in the right place. So I think fast forward 5 years, I don't think our goals are really going to change that much. Just like at a super high level, there might be, you know, new things that come into the play. Are there goals that we want to go after? But I don't think we're suddenly going to look at viewership and be like, actually, who really cares about that? Or people attending our events, I don't know that we care. People playing online in tournaments, you know. So I think like those fundamental goals will probably be the same goals in the future.
And you know, I think
it's all cryptic, but basically, if somehow we have a good year compared to last year, then maybe there's a chance that we get more.
I'm curious about in the grand scheme of things, have there been any sort of shifting into like what's your guys' ideas of what the HCS should look like from year one of Halo Infinite to where we currently sit now? Has there been any big shifts as to what you guys are sort of going after this time?
Hard to say if there were big shifts. I mean, we've definitely made shifts. So, you know, like the teams are hosts for the events, and it's not really a shift in our North Star, but it's a shift in our solutions, right? Because we can help the teams out at the same time as helping us out and bring fans closer to the teams, to the events. And that's like a different way that was really unlocked partway through when
juicier
teams were asking us to run events, just because they had built up.
If he's too juicy, he won't get. Tashi's like
events for other games.
It's like a rare Pokemon, you know. He's not going to come on an interview with just anybody.
Our goals,
he has to know that the amount of juice that you're squeezing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got to know coming in that he can trust you. Jeffrey, think of the YouTube follow.
I would say maybe a bigger shift
is on a leash right now.
A lot more focus
and what he can and can't say.
Events. As if
too
you're
juicy, it's not allowed.
It makes you sad to hear, and I'm sorry, but Halo is just a very US dominant game, and in order for us to maximize hitting our goals and keep HCS going, we just put a lot of focus on the United States and running events here, and you know, partner teams here, and all of that stuff. So we still try to keep all the international teams part of the circuit overall. And you know, this weekend we have tournaments, and again, all 4 regions, like we did day one with Infinite.
Right, separate tournaments for each region, right?
That's been kind of a shift that I think you've seen if you look from year one, where we had, you know, I think we had an event in Spain, and then we had, you know, an event in Mexico and things like that. And, you know, we've kind of brought it all kind of back to the United States, really.
Yeah, I mean, was that a result in sort of like how season 3 played out with London? Like, was London a great success for you guys in your eyes, or was it sort of like a sort of the writing on the wall that maybe we should shift to a US focus?
No, I think London was a success. It was in some ways more successful than our US events. Like the fan attendance was larger than what we saw at some of the other majors. I think we sold
Makes
out of
sense.
that in like literally minutes, and we were like, "Oh crap, we were not expecting that."
Yeah.
So we were
they hadn't
very
done one in a
pleasantly
while.
surprised. And then viewership, we kind of expected to take a hit just because of the time zones,
Yep.
and we saw what we basically expected, which was a significant hit. And so we'd kind of like made peace with that. Like, we weren't going into this year saying, "Oh
Make it
no,
100%
definitely no
skill
London."
base?
But we also
The
weren't
newbie
saying
shit?
like, "Oh,
What's the
we need to
newbie
do a
shit?
lot more London." What were we thinking? And I think if Quadrant stuck around, or
Oh, really,
there was
Remy?
another
Interesting.
kind of UK team that we were ready to partner with, then we would have probably heavily considered it. But I don't think it would have been a guarantee that we would have been back in London again.
Well, I mean, that's
They're talking about
that's a
ITB?
segue into
They were like
the
considering
next,
ITB maybe, and
topic
that
is the partnership program.
that like him
We've seen
alluding
some
to it?
drastic changes this year.
Rip
First of all, I
ITB?
think
Yeah.
this might
Somebody
have
else
been
is
the
on my
best
wavelength
kept
here.
secret in the HCS. TSM joining. As like, I feel
Yeah,
like
that was pretty
so
cool.
many people
That was
by
pretty cool.
surprise. You talk about the
I know, I was so
process,
happy about that.
yeah, of like TSM getting involved in the HCS program.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking to TSM really since like year 1 HCS.
Interesting.
They were always one of the teams that we'd been
Yeah, we had Navi and Fnatic.
courting into HCS, and I think through MCC and Halo
G2,
5,
Navi,
and then
Fnatic, G2.
early on in Infinite, just
United,
didn't quite pan
United
out.
not around anymore.
Business goals are in different areas. Teams are focusing on different things at certain times. There's just a lot of factors, and the esports landscape has changed a lot in those 10 years, 11 years almost. So, it just never quite worked out.
Right. Okay.
But we had a kind of an opening that we saw coming, and so we'd always kept kind of a open relationship with TSM. It was never any of this like, hell no, we're joining Halo or anything like that. So it was like, a spot opened up, and we gave him a ring, and the stars kind of seemed to align.
Really? I wonder why.
Same process.
Maybe
with,
financially it
Shopify
was
Rebellion,
cheaper to do.
A little bit different, right? Shopify Rebellion had been in the scene for a while, placed extremely well last year, and had been sort of making this investment into Halo. Can you ask 2 questions for it, right? I mean, obviously, what was the conversation like with Shopify Rebellion to get them added? Was it just a simple, hey, let's do this? And the second is like, why didn't we see Shopify Rebellion potentially in the HCS program earlier than we saw them now in year 4?
Right, Mark.
Yeah, for Shopify, the process was essentially when Quadrant had informed us they're really not even only exiting Halo, but they exited esports
All of
entirely.
esports, yeah.
Shopify were definitely kind of next up on the list. They had invested in Halo scene for a long time. They had a booth at Worlds, which fans really loved, and it was pretty clear to me that they were kind of investing for all the right reasons into Halo and all the games that they play. And we have a good relationship with them, and that was just kind of like an easy and
It's a no-brainer.
obvious,
They got the financial backing
fit.
and
So that was as
security to
simple
ensure
as
that
me
there's not
calling
going to
them up,
implode anytime soon.
thanking them for being part of HCS, and then offering them a spot, which they humbly accepted. And then your second question was, why not earlier? Is that right?
Yeah.
So
I think for the year they lock in their
generally, the approach
partners
that
and they
we've
do it every
taken
year.
is we don't want to expand the number of slots in
the middle of the
partnership
season
program until we feel like the scene and the ecosystem can sustain it.
Oh, okay.
And so we've kind of, past year 1 have been at this number that we feel like is almost like homeostasis. Like
I've seen that, Mark.
It
Yeah.
feels like kind of the right
TTK
fit
person.
where we're able to give enough attention to those teams. The
But the comparison to Halo 5 that it made was
too
was
huge
false,
in a way
though.
where it feels like only
And how it actually
a
plays out.
small percentage are getting the benefit, and the rest are kind of left in the dust. And then also, we have to look at things like the revenue that the game pulls from the skins, and the teams that are we feel worthy of being in the partnership program. I think you've seen a lot of.
What do you think, Chad? Is anything
HCS or
important been
teams that
discussed
competed
today?
in HCS that were not in the partnership program that wanted to
Highlights?
that dissolved and crashed and burned. So, you know, when I look at those, I'm like, oh, well, it's a good thing we didn't bring them into the program. So we try to be kind of measured and calculated. And
Thanks.
again, for this, we were waiting for a slot to open up. And
Envy would be
you know,
nice.
it just was the right time and the right
Is
place.
KCP still around in esports? Are they
I
out
want to speak a
entirely?
little bit more about spots opening up, right? We lost 2 organizations. Obviously, Quadrant exited esports altogether.
We got 2
but
more
Sentinels
though.
Was a,
We just
it's
need
an
Europe.
organization I think many would argue is extremely healthy, right? We've seen them have one of the premier Valorant teams in the world. It seems as if they're expanding into other titles like Marvel Rivals. What was the conversation like with them about them exiting?
Pioneers,
and
GG.
do you think that they like what do you think could change in the future to like sort of incentivize these program?
Oh, so they still have a
organizations
team,
not to
Rocket
leave?
League. I see.
Yeah, I think well, first off, like Sentinels were a great partner. You know, they were, you know, supporting Halo with the team.
Sentinels is
like, when
unfortunate.
we were running events on Reach and during like the grassroots era, so to speak. So
Yep.
Nothing but love and respect to the Sentinels squad, and I think we left it on good terms.
Yeah,
and if
maybe
there's
Impact.
opportunities in the
They
future
invested
that
in
make
Melee
sense, then,
recently.
you know, they'll definitely be one of
Wizrobe.
the teams that we call up on the phone and keep talking to. I think for this go around, it just didn't make as much sense for their business and where they were headed and where they had gone and where they wanted to focus their resources. And you know, again, we were okay with that. You know, we had other teams that were kind of interested and ready to go and were excited about HCS. And so, you know, again, it was no foul play or anything like that. It just no longer kind of made sense for them. And, you know, it was kind of, okay, shake hands and hope to work with you again in the future.
Ended amicably.
I'm curious as to like what are some of the benefits that have been added.
Action
to being
games
a
like Devil May
partnership
Cry,
team
God of War.
throughout these,
Not currently,
last
but
few
I'm
years.
I'll dabble. You know,
So, like, we
I
saw
was playing
Sentinels
Ninja
leave, and
Gaiden
it's
a
like,
little bit
I think
recently.
That, to me, I'd love to
Ninja
see
Gaiden 2.
like what their thought process as to like potentially a reason for them to stay, or for a reason for potentially some of these teams to stay into the next year. Has there been any sort of added benefit that we've seen from year 1 to year 4 in joining the partnership program?
Yeah, certainly. The partnership program has changed a lot over the years, and I can't get into the details of, you know, numbers and figures and whatnot. Generally, our approach is we want the teams to kind of cultivate a fan base inside of Halo, and then, you know, give them opportunities to invest in the community and that fan base that they have cultivated, but do so in a way that financially makes sense for them. So, an example being, you know, we asked the teams to have a booth at one of
What's
the
the
majors,
skinny?
but we let them tie a sponsor to it, and we let them sell merch.
There's a
and
new
we don't
S&D
take a
game
cut of
mode
any
that's
of
being
that.
worked on
And their sponsors can
through the
conflict
Forge
with our
community. That's
sponsors
kind of the
and,
gist.
you know, things like that.
Everything
We
else
also
is
ask the
like
teams
Tashi's
to
just
run
kind of
tournaments.
nothing's being
And we
confirmed.
require
Or
that they run like a broadcast, and it's just like 2 a year. But this is an investment that they make, but we also
Hold on.
give them opportunity to monetize that. So they can sell sponsors against the broadcast, or however they have freedom in the formats. They can do influencer tournaments. They can do, you know, open Halo events, whatever it might be. So we give them the opportunity to monetize. And again, it can be a conflicting sponsor or whatever it is. We also offer what I think is one of the more liberal offerings compared to other games with merchandise. So teams have the opportunity every year to sell kind of Halo and HCS co-branded merchandise, and they get a license for that. And there's a small royalty that needs to get paid back to us, but you know, it's a good opportunity for teams to, again, you know, make some money and do some cool things for the fans in a sustainable way. So
combine the different
you
genres
know,
into an arena PvE game.
what we don't want to do is
Not like
just
Overwatch.
you know, hand out kind of free cash and just subsidize like every single bit of the teams.
At the moment, maybe, Mark. Appreciate
rather
the...
we try to have a more balanced
Sounds like an
approach
interesting idea.
where there's some kind of safety net for the teams, but also you know, they have opportunities to go out there and kind of invest in the community and monetize at the same time. But you know, it takes work. It's not easy to run your own tournaments. It's not easy to do a full merch collab. It's not easy to have a booth at an event. You know, it costs dollars and it takes people time. And, you know, some teams just decide, hey, we actually want to invest these people time or dollars in other places. And it's like, yeah, we understand that. So that's kind of at a high level how we try to approach it, and some of the more specifics on how it's changed from year one.
And one of the big driving forces as to why teams join the partnership program are like the team skins, right? The in-game purchases that we've seen. And with the announcement of TSM and Shopify Rebellion being added, I've known plenty of players that are fiending at a chance to have a Shopify Rebellion skin, have a TSM skin.
I assume that's
Usually
happening.
around this point in the game, we've seen these skins drop. Haven't seen it this year. Is there a reason as to why there's been a sort of a delay as to
Stay
seeing
tuned,
a
maybe?
TSM Shopify Rebellion set?
Yeah, I mean the
Icon
Infinite
gun.
team has changed its process for
Honestly, if he just cleans
how
up the
it
neck
creates content
with his beard,
and
I think it would do wonders.
yeah, I would say a lot of the studio is focused
Right?
on future projects. So
Cleans up
it
the
just
cheeks
takes
here
a little bit longer
and the neck part,
and
and
they're
then
still making content.
he has a
for
great beard.
all the different passes,
Just needs to do a little bit of
and
maintenance,
shop
you know?
items and things like that, and it's just ultimately.
And then what I,
Well,
I mean, this is what I like to do. I get the sideburns,
basically with all the other priorities of the game,
shave them down.
and the way it kind of worked out for the new content
Yeah, just a
that
little
we're going
trim.
after, it
And
just
then
took a
he'd
little
look
bit longer.
instantly.
What we're
be a
working
cleaner
on
look.
are, I think, an upgrade over what
5
we
minutes.
had
Give me
last
5 minutes.
year,
I'll
and
make
it's
them
not as
beautiful.
just simple as like
5 minutes, okay?
a coding. So I guess
Looks like a
there's
brand new
little teaser
man.
for some of the stuff we're cooking up for this year. So it is kind of new and high quality stuff, but it also means it takes longer to produce too. So yeah, it's just taking a bit longer than we would have liked, and hopefully the wait is worth it in the end.
I mean, is there an established timeline as to when we can expect it? Like before Arlington, post Arlington, as like sort of a bellwether of when these skins will be released?
What's wrong with? Man, you should all try to look. I mean, not try.
It's going to be a while,
Necessarily,
so it'll be after Arlington,
Nothing wrong
probably
with looking
sometime
pretty.
later this summer.
Well, hey, I'm excited.
If
for
the Halo
it.
career
I'm
doesn't work out, we'll go
hoping
beard,
maybe,
full beard.
One of my favorite things I have right now is like when I get a kill with the sniper shot, the phase. I phase up on them.
Yeah.
Love that. I'm hoping we maybe get some more features like that in the future.
The little
Going
logo.
into the roadmap of the year, there's some notable differences this year compared to past. Obviously, we still have the same format with
$20
teams
for a different
organizing
shade
events.
of green. Yeah,
But we also see DreamHack being added back into the rotation. Previously, when we saw DreamHack, it was for the team invitationals. This one's going to be an open, but I couldn't help but notice
Yeah, the
that
industry's changed a lot.
verbiage for the tournament is also a little bit different. HCS Majors versus an HCS Open. You walk through what those differences are.
Yeah, it'll become a lot more clear once we're ready to share the format details and
So
the prize
no,
pool
not
and things
yet.
like that. But
them
it
isn't
is not a
open.
major. It
It's
won't
not a
offer the
major.
same amount of points or prize pool as a major.
Oh,
Probably
prize
small
pool.
number of teams in the open bracket, things like that. So we just wanted to like
lower prize pool.
clearly signal from the outset that it was not a major and set the expectations that way. That being said, we think it's still going to be a healthy prize pool and a really good broadcast and event. And being at DreamHack is really special, and we haven't been at a big DreamHack like this in a good while. So
Still worth
we're
it, yeah.
expecting it to be a great event, but wanted to make sure from a format perspective and how players also think about
kind of the one I
points
wanna
and
go
things
to.
like that it was clear that it was not a major.
Are we going to see
yeah,
the same sort of
online
activations
qualifier.
at DreamHack
We'll be
compared
live
to what
tomorrow
we've
to
seen
cover
at
it
Majors?
this weekend, yeah.
One of the big features, right, is always that FFA prize pool that's there. Is there still going to be an FFA tournament? Are we going to still see those sort of side events that have propped up and that are so popular in year 3?
Hey.
So again, more details to be confirmed later, but generally speaking, the way we think about it is like if we have all the space for an open bracket, we have all the consoles, we have the admins, we're gonna run a bunch of tournaments. So yeah, that's my answer for today. But
yeah, there's a
we're
lot
kind of
more to do.
finalizing all the details.
exciting.
So we should hopefully have more in the coming weeks.
Well, would love to see that update when it comes. One thing that's very very exciting about DreamHack in particular is the fact that we're going to have Call of Duty and Halo under the same roof for the first time in what feels like
Will they
forever.
be
It
side
used to
by
be a
side with their
mainstay back in
stages
the
or in
MLG
different parts
days,
of the venue, right?
Gears of War, Halo, Call of Duty. Now with the
I
recent
hope there's some
activation-
alignment.
acquisition, I should say, of
Activision.
Blizzard Activision
Yeah.
being added to the Microsoft umbrella, can we expect maybe some more collaboration?
I gotta have
between the
dinner, Grand.
studios
I don't know.
and seeing like an HCS CDL
We got
sort
a
of
long day tomorrow.
opportunity in the future?
I mean, who knows? I have nothing to kind of announce or confirm today. We think they're doing a really good job over at CDL, and I'm excited for both Halo and Call of Duty to be under the same roof. We won't have a major, so it'll be a little different of a size, but that's okay. Should still bring a ton of energy to DreamHack from both sides. So yeah, I mean, I would say with the
it's true that the Halo event's going to be like smaller,
family,
like in so many
kind of phone lines are open, but that's pretty much it at this point.
Seeing them side by side is like not a Halo major, and Halo's already a smaller community, so COD's just going to be like booming, and Halo's like the. That'd be interesting for sure. It's still nice to have them side by side, but it's just a shame that Halo's like this. It's going to be like this niche,
being hosted by
by comparison.
Your guys' support. Can you walk through what the
little corner of the menu
was to sort of create this sort of smaller activation tournament and why you guys are excited about it?
And Kayson's the GOAT.
Yeah, it was basically
you probably approached
Kayson's
them.
idea.
Yeah, there you go. They're like, we'll do it
last year, and we just kind of hit it off. He was a super kind of authentic guy, and clearly had his heart in the right places. Loves Halo, loves the community, wants to kind of support the game as much as he could.
So is that 50? Is that his 50K?
I think that just kind of resonated with me. And later on, he kind of brought the idea of like, hey, let's do some sort of invitational. Can we figure this out somehow? And we were all in. So we just started kicking around ideas of when it could be, what it could be, and ultimately landed on what we have now, which is the kind of 4-team invitational. Is really like a taste test of what's to come for the rest of the season. So he kind of handpicked all the teams, and we're going to have S&D extraction playable for first show match at the event.
Oh, they'll have a show match there. That's cool.
Nice way to showcase that mode as well. So yeah, that's kind of how it all came together. And, we're excited to try something new. I don't think we've really done anything quite like this before. So it'll be good for us to kind of learn and see how we might want to do things like this again in the future.
Seeing FaceCase have an event is awesome.
Your Google Calendar? What do you mean, Travis?
Back when the HCS Grassroots program first was established, right? Seeing creators get involved in the HCS. It's been 2 years since we've seen anyone be added to the program. What's the current status of HCS Grassroots? Is there going to be any addition to some content creators?
Like I used to be in it twice.
Joining
through UGC.
I think the HCS Grassroots program, the team has been really focused on taking care of everyone that's in there and doing the best to support, starting up community events, supporting with Twitch drops, helping coordinate calendars, sharing what information we can. I think it's just been kind of heavily focused on that. And whenever we add more people to the program, it's kind of in a sense more mouths to feed. And we have a pretty small team, but I think the guys like punch above their weight class.
I'm not 100% sure, Concon, but we can maybe try to talk
be
about
cautious and sure that we're kind of measured in how we bring people into the program. And that hasn't kind of changed since day one. We always did like small waves. You're right. We haven't kind of brought anyone in quite a long time. So I think there's probably room for us to kind of reevaluate that. What I've asked the team to do is kind of update strategy on HCS Grassroots and where we want to kind of take things.
Oh, I see. Interesting, Travis.
So I would say actually, feel free to tweet it myself, tweet at Divian, post it in the chat, whatever it is. If there are ways you think HCS can better support the community creators and tournament operators in the community, I think let us know. I think we're at a point now where we're kind of picking our heads up on HCS Grassroots program and saying okay, where do we want to kind of take this thing going forward? Since you're right, it's kind of been, I don't want to say dormant because the team is, busting their butts, and so is the Grassroots folks. They're just running tons of events, and we're doing our best to promote them and support them and whatnot. So it's definitely not been idle, but it hasn't grown, which is probably the better way to say it. So
I can help.
Yeah, I would say let us know how you think we should either rethink
I'll do a
the program
Grassroots
or grow
watch
it,
party.
Because I think now is a good time for us to kind of take
Halo
feedback
tournament.
And, it's going to take time for us to think about it.
The Fallout
and if we
itself,
want to evolve the program, it's going to take time to do that and line that up. So
hasn't been the same.
I wouldn't expect to see
the
anything
world has
in
changed
the immediate near future, but I think now is probably a good time for us to re-strategize and see how we want to evolve it or not evolve it going forward.
You brought up a tournament organization.
I think H4 was more detrimental to the franchise.
Yeah, do you know
right?
any?
Yeah, right. we at LVT, we love tournaments, right? And we wanted to see sort of a
how's the state of Halo
again, and just the entirety scene, not even just LVT, in regional tournaments, right? Like we've seen such great action on the major scale, and even like based on having
too
such
qualified,
a big
they can't have me
for invitationals for pro teams. Do you think that the HCS should will be able to offer support for some of our smaller scale tournament organizers, right? Like last year, I think it was Europa Halo had Blackpool for an event. We had Titans Orlando, and even if you go further back, we had great activations with the Microsoft Store tournaments. That I remember
miss
those
that
being
stuff.
a massive hit.
Yeah, stores aren't around anymore.
Is there any plans right now to sort of have a support structure for smaller scale tournament organizers?
I'd say there's nothing concrete right now. I think we're certainly open to it. The right opportunities.
I'm excited for the season from the perspective, like the community is what's making it exciting.
Right now, we still,
as from a development side, they're doing things, but obviously the game,
and we help coordinate.
Nothing fundamental is changing anytime soon.
Tournaments that go on that kind of the broader
it's a state of all time
maybe
for sure.
is not picking up on. There's people from colleges who approach us for support. So the team is actively still supporting the tournament organizer community, but it might not be enough, or in certain areas or pockets that everyone sees. So I think there's probably more that we could do here. I think we probably, as part of re-strategizing with grassroots, there's probably a way that we could, set up a structure that can better support them. So yeah, I think largely on the same page as you. I think there's probably more that we could do here, and I think now's a good time for us to explore those.
If you were speaking to one of these like smaller tournament organizers that are interested in throwing a LAN, what would you say is the process for them to go and get support from the HCS? What would be your advice as to how they should bring up?
That's definitely a big part of it,
appropriate channels.
Yeah, I think if you're running a LAN, in order for us to support you, we're going to have to see a very long track record of successfully running either LAN events or online tournaments. And having
LVT.
Great community support and good community feedback and things like that. So if you're just hearing this and you're like, I've not run tournaments before, but maybe I'll go run a LAN, that's awesome. But we're probably going to take a more wait and see approach with support. So, I would say for folks like yourselves at LVT, obviously you're part of the program already. We have a great relationship. You guys run tons of tournaments, have a great track record.
Yeah, they're
if you were like, Tashi, we're going to run a LAN.
Hey, what's up, Robert?
We need some support.
Like
we're
nothing crazy.
Phone right away and try to figure something
Just
out.
Talking
to so you guys are
LVT talking to Tashi
super well established
about the state of the game.
That's what I would say first. If you're not super well
no
established,
big bombshell announcements or anything like that. There's an S&D game type that's being worked on, which is interesting. It's going to be showcased at the K-Sign Invitational.
Level of investment in order to support it.
That being said, right, work on getting that support. I'd love to see more grassroots organizers come into the scene and try to establish something. I think it's something that we desperately need is more.
Maybe there'll be some. Maybe this will be some folks inspired by S&D Extraction who want to run some tournaments.
That is actually one of the things I'm really excited about. Is I hope there's a tournament scene that pops up for S&D Extraction, but we get into that a different time.
I'm with you.
But maybe we'll be doing something here over at LVT.
Better be breakout. Have you seen it's like there's like an economy system and stuff. It's like it's different. Full shields and movement, regular movement shields.
Help and notice once again that international teams will have to play from the open bracket. I bring this up because Mexico,
nothing crazy,
in particular, had a top team that made it made it into pool play every event from open bracket. And then also had events where they finished.
They showed it?
12,
yeah, go on Twitter.
Positions
they showed a little bit footage.
Outside of pool play. So can you talk about the decision to keep international teams in that open bracket system instead of granting another spot into pool play, especially for the Mexico region in particular?
Yeah, I think first kudos to everyone in that region that still competes and comes out to the events.
Still going strong.
Kudos to that team that has just been turning heads and kicking butt. I know they surprised a lot of competitors, and it seems like they have a good roster for this year as well. So the decision for us comes to really like competitive longevity at that kind of highest level. And
we're sticking with it. I can't believe you managed.
It kind of warranted taking a step back. We still provide travel support, so it's still important to us that the teams are able to attend and they still have a path to go through the open bracket and
that's good
and fight in pool play. So it's certainly not easy path. We know that.
So there's
still a clear line of sight.
Are they saying no Mexico team gets into pool play now?
Again, for us, like
they have to fight through open.
See how they perform and make decisions as we go. But we felt like we just hadn't quite seen enough to warrant a change.
I guess like my big follow up to that is there a way for that to change this year? So let's say Mexico comes out, they perform really well at Arlington, and they get like a crazy top 8 finish. Does that change the equation for you in your mind of like, oh, maybe Mexico should start getting guaranteed pool play? Or is it more that, well, if you get that high of a finish, you already get your pool play spot, so maybe just finish that high?
Yeah, I mean, we try to take it year by year with these decisions. Like, we don't want to disrupt the kind of pool play format in the middle of a season. However, like if the Mexican team comes out and they get,
if viewership is good this
crazy
year
high
and attendance
placement,
is
then
good
it's
at
like,
the
okay,
events, it's
looks like we
possible.
got that one wrong.
That's the
and we'll look
understanding
at
I got
kind
from
of
this
making,
interview.
Updates. But you're right in that
Is that
if they do get a
no
crazy high
announcement?
placement,
We won't know
kind of
for a
earn that
while.
pool play
But
anyway,
if this year goes well,
since there are guaranteed
viewership wise,
slots,
in comparison
for
to last
certain teams
year,
at LANs events. So,
then maybe we'll get another.
again, like we want nothing but all of our teams to be super competitive and whatnot. So if that team kind of earns a spot, and more kudos to them. And ultimately, I think it's good for the overall scene if more teams are competitive. And it's
yeah,
a
we want a
delicate
new
balance
game,
for us
but
too.
if we don't
So,
have the new
we
game, then I
try
still want an
to,
esports season.
be as objective as we can, but it's not a science. And we try to think about how we keep each tournament kind of competitive and fair. Because again, if you're giving one team a pool play spot, then you're taking it away from another. But at the same time, we do want to inspire more people in different regions to compete and feel like they can go to a major and do some damage. So it's a difficult balance, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we always get it right or are perfect with all of that stuff. So
Speaking about Mexico just a little bit more.
Yeah, what do you
I
think,
there's
Broward?
a lot of talent in Mexico that have been wanting to break into that.
It's a Forge thing, and the cool thing is that they've got forgers for a contest to make maps, and
players
hired some forgers as well.
Region lock and how they can compete.
Hey, no problem,
Right?
Rick.
So in order
Things
to
are pretty
compete
chill
in
right now.
North
It's easier to be
American
attentive to
events,
chat. I
you
just don't want
need
to talk over the
live
interview too
within
much, right?
Either Canada or the United States, reside there during tournament play, during the online season. This is an opportunity that a lot of players from Mexico can't necessarily capture due to things that are outside of their control. Do you think there's an opportunity in the future to open up the region lock, like a soft open, as to like where one player from Mexico could compete with 3 players from North America and have a chance to play in a more competitive scene that has a higher upside for players that have that individual talent?
potentially. I mean, I'm always open to kind of re-exploring rules, and especially as the
I'm open to
scenes
something
evolve
new.
and things like that. So I can take it to the team and,
Plus in the
just
economy,
re-explore it. Right now, I have no announcements to make or changes that I can say we're actively exploring at the moment.
I don't know if it'll be competitive. Yeah, so I don't think the intention is to drop it into ranked. It's going to be like its own thing, and then if it's really well received, then it might go into ranked or might go into HCS.
I just think that's like the next iteration.
Tashi basically said it could end up replacing. Like if people loved it, then the best position would be like maybe replacing a Slayer
scene
in a series.
They always want to talk about Colombia, Brazil, all these other countries that are wanting to get involved. Is there any sort of long-term plan to open up the region lock to outside of Mexico and involving more Central and South America?
Not for this game.
For us, it's going to depend on where our players are. And the reality is that there are just not as many players in those South American countries as there are a bit further up north. And
if the next Halo
it's
somehow
not
pops off,
insignificant investment to put on full year face tournaments for these different regions, and the prizing and operations and flying them out to majors and really having them kind of integrated into the scene. So, it's one of those where if you don't invest, then you won't get anything. But, if there's not a lot, then it's hard to justify the investment. So
we're stuck in a catch-22, baby.
At this point, 4 years
chasing our own tails.
In year 4, I should say. There's not a clear line of sight that I can say that suddenly there's like, oh my God, there's a million Brazilian players who are just like, going to come online out of nowhere, and we got to scramble to support them right away. So, I think, in the near future, I wouldn't expect our kind of regional layout to change.
speaking of investment,
However,
There-
though,
In
sorry,
Gears, there was
No,
a
go
very
ahead.
strong
good
following from
opportunity
Mexico.
for
I remember.
HCS grassroots program support. This is something that we did when when the program was first launched. So it's a good way to kind of start to kind of build some momentum. So if there's community groups that are passionate about, running tournaments in Colombia and things like that, it wouldn't be the first time that we've supported
They
tournaments
loved
in that way.
Gears.
And it always starts small,
The hype
but
there was real, bro.
once you build a community,
Just
then
call it Halo
you
5,
can
yeah.
potentially get things kind of rolling.
I actually love that. I would love to see more tournament organizers prop up. I know there are like plenty in Mexico, but Colombia, Brazil, these countries that keep asking, like I
Exactly,
think, I don't
Funky,
think it's
yeah.
too much to say that like you got to put in
We
the
can
work yourself as
maintain-
well, right? Like get more community.
Maybe see a
engagement that
slightly
way.
better year than
Like you
last
spoke
year
about
if
this
things are really
investment.
hype. The
I think a
storylines are
lot
good.
of players felt that
But
they were investing
as far as
into
a boom of
HCS in
viewership,
season
not
one
until the
when
next
they were
Halo.
buying team skins and just things in the shop, and that money was going back and helping crowdfund the prize pool. In year 2, we saw crowdfunding discontinued within the HCS. And it was sort of an open question of whether it was going to come back or not in the future. Is there a status update as to what those plans look like into the future, where crowdfunding is, in your guys' opinion, and what the long-term sightline is for potentially bringing crowdfunding back?
Indentives?
Yeah, I'd say there's no change to the plans. I don't think in the near future we're going to bring crowdfunding back. I think we're not like
Maybe.
we
I'm
don't think
not sure.
crowdfunding is like a bad idea suddenly or anything like that.
I don't think they'll dominate every tournament, Rick.
The thing that's important that we
SR
don't
looks
have
conf
for
looks pretty
Infinite
strong too,
is just that clear
see.
line of sight from as a fan, this thing that I purchase and how it directly impacts this
Time to put the heat on
event
'em.
that I want to.
We've been here long enough, bro. It's been an hour.
And in the first year we were able
When's
to
the next
make,
Halo coming out? I need to know now.
significant contributions, which
Will
I
the next
thought was
Halo
great.
be?
But again, as a
You know,
fan, it's like, okay, I bought this.
is it gonna
skin,
be a
how do
Halo
I know
CE
what
remake?
percentage is going and which event, and I don't really have choice over, supporting this thing. So there just wasn't this like strong connection. And I think going forward for us to bring it back, we want to make
Video
sure
cannot
that
be
there is that
monetized.
strong connection, and it's a very clear line of sight for fans.
I'm gonna fix that right
and
now,
where their
actually.
money is going.
I think that's fair.
I got copyright struck, bro.
To say, I'm curious as to like what
I told you,
guys
Bryson
planning in the
Tiller,
future or what you have in
ineligible.
place
Video
now
cannot be
to sort of
monetized.
give
Select
folks that
action.
same sort of
Erase
safety
song.
in when they
Continue.
invest, right? Especially with like team skins,
Mute
right?
all sounds and claim
We know
segment.
that when you buy a team skin,
was 1
goes
minute
back
of
to the
music,
teams
bro.
in some sort of way. But I do think there is some.
And now
some
it's an
obscurity
editing
of
and
how
process,
that
the whole
money
video.
goes. It travels through those paths. Is it per team? Is it the HCS program as a whole? Like how does that ecosystem work?
Yeah, again, I can't really talk figures and what the teams get and whatnot. But I think what I can say is that, the teams are remaining in HCS because there is this, rev share. So, as you mentioned before, that is a big part of the overall kind of program itself. So, yeah, I can't really kind of share all the details. I guess it's a royalties program, so the fans purchase the content, and then the money comes to Microsoft, and then Microsoft gives a cut to the teams. So that's I guess the flow of money.
Yeah, I know
It makes
Senpai
sense,
Gaming.
and it's like I just think people.
It was
would
an
have a better
accident.
idea.
The
I think
music that played.
sometimes,
It was an accident.
There's the question of like, if I buy an Optic skin, is it supporting Optic directly, or is it supporting the HCS program, and then that program directs Optic indirectly? Is like, I guess.
Oh no,
big
there
question.
are checks that are cut.
Okay, and that
Yeah.
I love that. I love that level of transparency. It just makes it so that we all kind of understand what's happening
Yep.
a little bit more. And going into
They
this
get like
next
some sort of
season,
a salary. Is what you saying?
I thought that year 3 was a great year as a spectator when you went to events to have opportunities to do more, especially the last 2 events of the year with Space Station Gaming and Worlds. The side tournaments were a great addition. We saw more activations, more boosts.
They had that 1v1
What are
thing
you
that was
guys
kind of
doing
cool
this year?
too.
Is there any additions to that format that we can expect to sort of keep that engagement of players that are going to these tournaments up?
Yeah, so the side tournaments are still going to be a big part of the events. So, if you wanted to compete in more than just the open bracket in Halo Infinite or Halo 5 or even games on MCC, you can expect kind of more of that. And the team has been, I think they did a good job last year too, but just taking feedback and molding the tournaments, changing the pricing structure, the format structure to kind of meet the player needs. So I think you see more of that. We did dabble a bit with 1v1 Showdown,
Media
which I
training,
think went over
yeah.
really well at the World Championship. So I would say, at least for the first event, expect to see some 1v1 Showdown activation. And then, we're working on S&D extraction. And that's something, as I mentioned, we'd like to bring out to the events. And, it might start with just
Past 10 now, bro.
hey,
It's so
come
long
play,
interview.
give feedback. But I could
Interview
easily
started at
see it
8
evolving
p.m.
to,
It's been 2 hours.
okay, we're going to run competitions here on 1v1 Showdown, or sorry, S&D extraction. And, there's prizing tournaments and things like that if the scene kind of, is hungry for it and wants to support it. So
I hear you, Rick.
we're going to keep seeing what options we have and evolving the experience. And, I don't have
a lot
any,
of former
like,
pros are unhappy with
hard
the state of
stuff
the
to
game, so they don't want to
confirm,
support it out of
today,
just
except
like
for, I guess I
disappointment.
just
It's
do
like
1v1 Showdown. But yeah, it's
somebody
something
like a
we're always
Ninja or
looking
whatever. Let's say,
to
like he has the
kind of,
money to
evolve as we go.
put a tournament together, but he doesn't.
Ring squad battles.
He's not
Folks,
happy with
get on
Halo.
Twitter. Let them know we want.
Yeah,
ring
we
squad
talked
battles
about
tournaments.
this.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm all
we're
for
open
it.
to it.
Let's get it. Even if it's like what I'd love to see added is like a free agency like bubble area.
Is that the strat?
Hey,
Right?
I got to like show up to events. It's like you can get an email of like all the free agents
Yeah.
available. Like start to build like these teams out. 'Cause I think
We talked about that once
yeah.
at events where you could it was like a looking for team kind of area where basically if you're a free agent you just like hang out there and you're like, oh, we need one or we need two.
I love those initiatives. Like I said, I think the biggest thing for players when they come out to watch events is one, they want to watch great Halo. The second is they want to play great Halo, and it's like LAN is the best possible way to play. So more opportunities for people.
Relax,
to play is always a great
Aftermath.
thing.
Relax.
For me,
Agreed.
that's my exhaustive list of questions I had for you today,
I
Tashi.
hear you,
Is there
Zane.
anything that we haven't talked about? Any last things? That
Good
you wanna
maps
get
is
off the
kind of
chest
subjective though, for the
before we,
record. Like,
wrap up here.
No, I think we
we
touched
need
on
a good
everything. That
ASIM
was a
map.
really
What's a
fast
good
2 hours.
ASIM map?
Yeah,
Like
right.
people have different
But
perspectives.
no, I guess first just want to thank you guys at LVT for just being such great partners, such great ambassadors to the Halo community.
Shotzi's
and
pretty focused
all
on
the,
COD. Yeah, what would he
effort and
invest
even,
in
like,
Halo?
hard cash
He's
that
still
goes
very busy
into
competing.
doing what you guys do and being there for the community. So
Tell Tashi to
thank you
remove
guys.
Fortress.
You guys are an invaluable part to the ecosystem. Go buy those t-shirts, community people. They support them. I bought one. Go get a t-shirt. They look sick. There you go. I was waiting for that, Brandon.
I
These
think
t-shirts are
we
sick.
sold.
They should
we
put
sold
what's on the
100
back on
today,
the front
boys.
as an
So, I
option,
mean,
maybe.
like,
You
we
know,
sold
or-
number
I guess it kind of
100.
works.
We sold number
Okay,
100
okay.
today. I should say.
Oh,
Okay,
sold
well,
number
let's
100.
go sell like 10 more right now. Come on, we
Yeah.
got a couple thousand in the chat. Head over. I don't know where that link is. Someone spam it in the chat. But you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for what you do. I know the community supports you big time. I'm kind of teasing about the shirts, but really, actually, you should go buy the shirts. They're sick.
I
And yeah, that's kind of it. I'm just I feel like we've had a good kind of
good
start
new
to the
maps.
year with
You know,
the Infinite
so
update.
the only thing we're
and
ever going to get is Forge
HCS
maps.
roadmap love and new
At this
partner
rate, we're not getting any
teams
dev
love
maps.
and all these new rosters.
A
that are
good
so
Forge map
exciting,
is
and
tricky
people
when
seem
you
so
come
excited
when you
for
look at the
all this to go
performance
down,
aspect
and
of it, right? Like
we announced SD extraction and the Forge
Hold on.
competition. So let's just keep the good times rolling. Hopefully we have a really great season. Hopefully you guys are really entertained by it all. Hopefully you have fun playing in the ranked playlist. And yeah, let's just let's keep this train going. But like I said,
can't even afford a coach.
don't
Yeah,
take
I don't
this
know
for
what's going on with the
granted.
face thing. It might be Lunchbox with their
I remember
coach
saying this
in
to
the
the
end.
pros at the kickoff event in Raleigh.
Yeah, the remake was good on PC.
because
it's a shame. It's the same as
Halo
Origin.
Infinite was
Origin's good on
riding on such a
PC, but
big
not great on
high.
Xbox.
And I just remember like telling them like, don't take this for granted. Like you are not guaranteed
With
this.
Raleigh?
No one's
Yeah.
promising you this. Everyone in the community has to contribute to keep this going. So, yeah, thank you everybody who has already contributed, still watches, still plays, is excited for S&D extraction, is excited for the season and all this stuff. So thank you everybody for continuing to support HCS and Halo Infinite.
The high point of Infinite
If
when it
you guys
first
are
came out
interested
was
in
very
keeping
exciting.
Up with Tashi and what's
I
going on?
wanna be
with
there
HCS,
again.
Go check underneath his name
The
right
new
there
Halo.
on screen. He's got his X/Twitter tag. You can follow me as well at the same area. Keep involved with the HCS at HCS. Make sure you follow the YouTube channel for that if you're interested in all the competitions that'll happen at Halo Esports. And of course, as always, subscribe to LVT, follow, and get on the YouTube. We've been doing more over there. We'd love to see more engagement on that as well. That does it.
Big
for
new
us
video,
here.
right?
Yeah, big new video. Go
Sorry,
check it
I
out.
just killed your outro. You were doing such a good job.
That's great.
And
No, I like it. Plug the video. Guys, did you like
he
it?
worked hard on editing it.
hard.
He
I
learned
did
a bunch
work
of new editing stuff. Go watch that video.
Very
give it a
nice.
thumbs up. Leave a friendly comment about the rules for putting together that video.
Thank you. And that does it for us, folks. Until next time. Well, actually, tournament tomorrow. Be here for it. The start of HCS.
See you there.
Yeah, see you there.
Yeah, video's doing pretty good too. They've got about 9,000 views right now. Yeah, it's definitely a great video. Can they do that on a regular basis with that level of editing? It might take a lot of work, but if they keep that up, that's some high quality content. Okay. Oh my God, he just sent me so many different. These two work, right? These two are good. Which one do we like between the white or the black logo with or the white optic logo? That's kind of nice looking, right? I mean, in the end of the day, I don't know how if I want to keep doing. Oh, whoa. What about that one? What about the last one? Black on green. That's kind of a cool looking one too with a different shade of green. Do we like this stuff? Like, these are super simple that I've been doing for the scrim days instead of just like putting my face there with like multiple other faces, but it's like very generic though at the same time. Like, I don't know. I ideally come up with some sort of a strategy. Okay, yeah, I'll do the black on green one. I want to get a thumbnail created for tomorrow, actually, for the tournament tomorrow. All right, so the interview, did we learn anything? Not really anything new, honestly. Nothing that we didn't like already know for the most part. Like, no new announcements. We know we got the S&D game type coming up. It'll be showcased at the Kason Invitational. That's the only thing that we've kind of come out with. That's like new information outside of what you've been told on Twitter, right? So, you know, there's a Forge contest, $20,000. That's a good initiative for the Forgers. Some Forgers got hired. Great to hear. If this year is successful, viewership-wise, we might get another year of HCS, but really no sort of plans or, you know, guarantee or anything like that. Overlay it with a minimalist silhouette of myself. Where would I put my face in that? I just put my face right in the middle, like with a smile right here. I got to think of a simple thumbnail for the tournament this weekend as well. Would be nice. As far as the whole thing on Twitter or whatever, I don't know. It's hard to talk about anything that's like sharing my thoughts in any sort of like drama or anything like that is as much as you guys like the spicy, details and whatnot. It's always tricky to navigate. But I don't know. I know that there was a Clutch Academy tournament for the women in the community, and I know the intention was to have an excellent, inclusive tournament. It seemed like it was a good intentioned event, but there were a couple things that went wrong during the tournament. I think somebody like subbed in. I think somebody in a team couldn't attend or something, so they got this one team, ladies team, got a sub, and that sub was like deemed too good at the game, and the composition of the team, it made it such that like Clutch felt that it was like, or the Clutch team felt that it was an unbalanced team, something like that. But they allowed the team to play a series, and then after the series was played, I think somebody complained or something, and that's what led to them making the decision that player that was subbed in should be disqualified in place of somebody else. But that team who had won with that player, this could be better if I go and read through tweets, but I don't want to spend time on it right now. Anyway, that team decided to drop out of the tournament, and they were unhappy that they were told that their teammate was forced to be DQ'd after they had already played a series. You know, understandably, it's understandable that Clutch and their team felt that there might be an imbalance in the tournament as well, because it's important that they make a tournament that's fair. But once they've already allowed the team to play in the tournament, I think it makes sense that you let them continue to play, despite, you know what I mean? Like, mistakes have been made, but let's let these guys continue to play together. And who knows? You know, you never know. No, Cody, I don't know. That's not. We're not going to navigate. It was a woman, okay, and I'm not navigating that topic either. That's a tricky. Point being, I think it's okay that there was a sub, but after they had played a game with the sub, then it probably would have been best to keep going with that team, despite the concern. It's a tricky situation to navigate. The other side of it also was that there was coaching that was happening. What's going on? So I don't know. I don't think it's like, I just think, okay, so there was coaching that was happening. Apparently, we don't even know. So it wasn't even coaching. It was that there was an accusation that maybe the boyfriends of some of the women in the tournament were being coached through the Discord call or something. And this is something that's never come up in a tournament before, because coaching is something that's usually very normal and accepted in tournament, I would say. Like, if we do a HCS tournament, everybody expects there to be a coach in a Discord, but it's a little bit weird, I think, with this one when you've got a bunch of teams that were created with no coach. It's a smaller scale, kind of community-driven event, and then other teams who might have a boyfriend who's giving them insights, and that could be seen as an advantage. So I can understand where that concern was coming from, and I think it led to this woman making a post saying that she was like unhappy about that, and then when she said that, the people who were in those Discord calls felt personally attacked. So they kind of attacked back, and it led to a back and forth of like, it became just, people just kind of directly belittling and disrespecting each other basically on the Twitter timeline. And then that led to this woman being very upset, and which is what led to this Women of Halo's post, I think, essentially. So I think that this woman who was upset about the potential, like that maybe somebody was getting coached or whatever, I think that's a valid concern that she brought up. I don't think that the answer to that would be to like remove the possibility of coaching. Maybe what they can do is say that every team is allowed to have one coach in these women's events going forward, right? But point being is like, there was a miscommunication, and it's something that Clutch couldn't have even seen coming, because Clutch is just trying to have an inclusive tourney. If people want to have if their boyfriend wants to hang out and give a moral support, it might not even be coaching, right? Because a lot of the time it's just like a moral supporter. They're just chilling, So I don't think that there was any like negative intention there. I think that the person is justified in having a concern with it. And then what you could do is say, okay, this is an honest misunderstanding. No drops. If you were one of those guys that was, hanging out with his girlfriend in the Discord chat, instead of feeling personally attacked, even though I can understand where you're coming from, say, okay, this was an honest misunderstanding. Obviously, this person didn't intend on coaching, So then there's a way basically where nobody's got to hurl insults at anybody. And that can just be resolved as like, okay, now going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to allow one coach in every Discord lobby, or going forward, we're going to have no coaches, basically, is the resolution, right? And that could be done without anybody disrespecting each other publicly. But what it led to was a back and forth of insults and people, taking things personally and getting heated. And then that led to Women of Halo feeling that their brand was associated with the insults and the negativity or whatever. So they decided to respond with this tweet. And I guess I was just unhappy reading this tweet. No, you're good. Order. Oh, no worries. So what they wrote here is it says, due to some confusion and misinformation spread, we'd love to clarify that Women of Halo has never been and is not currently, and after thorough review of past issues and the recent mismanagement of the Galentine's tournament, will never be affiliated with Clutch Academy tournaments in any capacity, although we understand how we might get associated with Women's Halo tournaments claims suggesting otherwise are false and misleading. Women of Halo holds itself to the highest standards in tournament operations, community management, brand professional, and placing fairness. It's like, it kind of goes on, and it's very like, I can understand that they're trying to defend themselves because they had no association with what happened in this event. And the person who felt insulted felt personally attacked. Obviously, Women of Halo wouldn't want to feel like that was their responsibility, or, so I get where they're coming from, but they're directly attacking and slandering Clutch. Yeah. So what they're saying is like, we're never going to associate with this guy, and that we're very professional, and that this Clutch guy definitely isn't. That's what they're implying, that this Clutch guy, like, we remain unwavering on our mission to create a positive space. And they say something like, we hope other communities aspire to uphold
Halo drama.
Hey, Samantha. We hope that other communities aspire to uphold the best standards for their esports, like kind of implying that like Clutch Academy is like not somebody that upholds good standards. And it's just direct slander. You know, it's just not very nice. I guess the point that I kind of had coming in was reading this is I know Clutch and I know his intentions, and they're good. And he's an inclusive, respectful person who wants to do right by everybody, you know, and that could lead to him maybe being a bit of a yes man and not wanting to take any sort of sides, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's a tricky situation to navigate when you're trying to do right by everyone, because everybody's got conflicting views. And some people are like, I'm on this side, I don't like this. And he's a nice guy. Yeah. So I know that he does not have any intention of causing any controversy here. He wants to just put on a good event and be helpful. And I think he's very supportive of the women in the community. And I think what he's doing is a good initiative. So there was a miscommunication and things were not navigated as best as they could have been. And that's why I just kind of tweeted this, because the last thing that I want to do is like come at the Women of Halo group and say like, this is a really unacceptable post and like, you know, and belittle them, because that's not going to fix this issue, right? Like, I want Women of Halo to be thriving too. We should all be working together. So I don't know. I felt like I should say something. I don't know the full details. I said the community is a small one. Clutch works hard to put on good events. I'm confident they value diversity and inclusion. I sincerely hope there's a misunderstanding, compromise and positive resolution that can be reached on both sides here. We should be working together to build the community up, not tear each other down, right? So that's I'm hoping that maybe the right people can talk with each other and come to a positive resolution. I think that it's unfortunate that this woman was attacked. I think that things could have been handled better, and I hope that they can do something, it's not publicly, and don't, because now we're slandering each other publicly, and I just don't think this is the way that we, foster, a stronger community. I think what Clutch is trying to do for the women of Halo is really good. We should be embracing, encouraging, and celebrating that, so we have more events for ladies in the scene, of course, right? We just need to make sure that when it happens again, it's done with a little bit more care and consideration on these newfound issues that we didn't know we were going to have coming in, right? Anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, the way is that we don't got to go to war. We don't have to directly attack anybody. I think people are very quick to get offended and feel personally attacked when, there's a concern, and then they respond with more offense, which leads to fights, right? So I think that the thing that we can try to do here is just try to be understanding that there's validity on like both sides of the issue here, and there's a I don't know, you know what I mean? There's a positive compromise here that is an understanding. There's an understanding we can come to that, allows for people to have more events, more inclusive events. I'm gonna shut up. You guys get the point. I've said enough. Yeah, no, I don't need to be that guy to do that. I'm just saying I don't like seeing that, okay? And if there's any way that I can help navigating it in a positive, considerate way, then my DMs are open. But I don't think it's my responsibility by any means, right? This would be between Clutch and the women of Halo. Yeah, I just think in an effort to defend yourself, if you're a woman of Halo, I can understand not wanting to associate with the negativity, but in the effort to defend yourself, directly attacking Clutch Academy, that was hurtful, and I hope that they recognize that and reconsider that. Because Clutch, maybe he didn't apologize or address things in the best possible way. It's really tricky with the internet. Trust me. It's very tricky to, to say the perfect thing in a Twitter post and apologize in the perfect way. You realize after the fact, fuck, I didn't say that one thing I should have said, or I came off and I didn't sound remorseful, or you know what I mean? Like, it's very tricky. So I can empathize. I can empathize with his situation, but I think his heart's in the right place from my interactions with him. I'm just going to go ahead and say my interactions have been positive. So hopefully he gets a chance to work it out privately and that they can find a compromise. Ideally, we're both moving up together. We're both winning. Okay. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to send you guys over to Bound. I'm going to get dinner. a huge L tweet, but like even saying, yeah, like even navigating that by saying like, if you go ahead and say like, oh, this is bullshit, you know, you suck. You know what I'm saying? Any version of that isn't going to inspire women of Halo to like recognize that there's something that needs to be changed here. I think the better way would be, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I'm sure that there's justification behind writing this, but I hope you also understand how this is hurting people and, you know, and causing a further rift between, you know, these pockets in our community versus like, there's a way that we can solve this where women of Halo can, you know, remove their association in the way that they wanted to, but also, you know, you get what I'm saying. I've said enough. I think I've navigated it, or my opinion on it. I think as far as doing like the actual work, you know, and having those conversations, that's the harder part that I'm, you know, not sure how to respond to, right? Like that's not really where I can do anything. Anyway, thanks, Cody. Mute my Spotify so I get paid. Yeah. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow and Sunday. I'm sending it. Oh, you prefer cycle? Too late. Done. Bound. I'll be live tomorrow and Sunday for the tournament. We got the online qualifier. It'll be fun. Better be there or be squared, you know? Be square. Be there or T squared. I'm going to take a break. Get some dinner, guys. Anyway, have a great rest of your evening. Go give Bounce some love. Give him some support. Not that he needs it. Man's already GOAT. Have a good night. All right, YouTube. I got nowhere to send you. Into the ether. Have a good night, YouTube. Thank you for hanging out, guys. We'll be